Good evening and welcome to the May 20th, 2015 Board of Selectmen meeting for the town of Ashland. We are being broadcast live by WACA-TV. Please join us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome our two newest members to the board, Carl Hackinson and Rob Scher. Gentlemen, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
And thank you to the residents of Ashland for my re-election. I'm glad to still be sitting here. Okay, first thing on our agenda is citizens' participation.
Welcome to two new ones, and welcome back to the chairman. Mark Tassoni, 49 Hawthorne Road, one in the 11% that voted. Was not the best of turnouts, but it was not the classic lows. But it's over, it's done with. And we're gonna have this town move forward, hopefully, and have a better thing. But I'm up here actually, I am gonna bring it up. My campaign was a success that was very unofficial, unscientific, that I won with the blanks. Hopefully the town can work with the voters or have them work better, because blanks don't make the town. The board here has got to be more abstract, transparent, and more respectable to these residents to get past this 11%. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Tony, I believe you had something for during citizens' participation?
I go to the podium. So thank you, Madam Chair. If I could have Bill Brown join me at the podium for a minute. I just wanted to take an opportunity to recognize Bill. One of the most important things that we're responsible for the board is tracking all of our committee appointments, their expiration dates. There's hundreds of them, and Bill working behind the scenes, not asking for a lot of fame and fanfare. A lot of times he's home watching whenever we have appointments, and even before our meeting's over, our appointment database has been up to date with new appointments or reappointments, and he's always on top of it. It's been just a tremendous relief in workload, and also making sure that our committee and appointment list is always up to date. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to recognize Bill for his behind-the-scenes service in that, as well as his work on the Board of Assessors. So Bill, I want to present you with one of my town manager coins to thank you for everything you do, because our volunteers are really the backbone for much of the business that goes on in our community, including the work that you do, and we really appreciate it. Shake my hand.
Oh. You got to do it the right way. Yeah.
Just, I feel so fortunate, given the number of volunteers that we have here in Ashland and the thousands of hours that are spent, not just in government work, but sports, schools, civic organizations. To be recognized is truly an honor, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill, for your work. I told him he's going to have to text someone else instead of
That's right.
Paul, so
Yes, he does
I've
text
made
us.
sure he has my cell phone number. Okay, we still have a few minutes before our first appointment, so I'd like to move to acceptance of minutes. We have, it says 4, but I thought we were going to, we have actually 5 sets of minutes in our packages. And I had one change, I forget which one it was on, hold on.
You guys are going to handle the minutes, I presume,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So, one small change I had was on the April 29th minutes, Susan. Under old new business, under streets policy, third paragraph, Joe Mignani made a motion to approve the complete streets policy, not the complete signs policy.
Oh, okay.
I can get a motion?
Voting on
Yeah.
Make a motion to accept
Thank you.
the minutes as stated with the change to the April 29th minutes made by Madam Chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so those are all set. Okay. Pass
Thank
all
you.
those down. Okay.
Oh, that's much better.
I'm looking through the information. Is there anything else we can do?
Probably,
Maybe annual town meeting
maybe
recap
we can speak to the retreat, maybe determine a,
or the retreat?
yeah, a
Over
date.
the retreat.
Sure. Okay, so we're gonna jump around a little bit until 7:20, because certain things never take as long as you expect. So we're gonna jump down into our old new business on the agenda, and we're going to discuss and select a date for our Board of Selectmen retreat. We're looking to do it on a Saturday morning. Because it could take more than just a few hours, and we have found that evenings, people are just too tired after a full day of work and start, so we're looking at, so I don't know if you guys have your calendars with you.
I do.
I have
Good.
one up here.
I'm one up. I'm retired, so my Saturdays are available.
Okay. So we don't want to do it this weekend because it is Memorial Day weekend, potentially looking at Saturday, May 30th. Because as I was at a MSA, Mass Selectmen Association meeting today, and I was reminded that on June 6th, they have a new selectmen training session on that day.
Okay.
So if we can do it on the 30th, then if people are free, they could go to the one on the 6th, which is,
So let's talk about the 30th, because they might have some impact with Tony and his schedule as well. So, you know, we talked a little bit earlier, the dates, the 30th, the 6th. We also talked a little bit about a Friday afternoon potentially. Is that a possibility?
How long are we talking? This is like,
Well, we're
like
talking,
starting around
you know,
1 o'clock or so?
If we did a morning
3
session,
hours.
we'd be talking, 8 to noon time roughly. So
Oh, in the
or eight-
morning.
or
in the
8,
afternoon,
if we did yeah, like 8 to 1 or 9 to 2 or something, or,
in an afternoon, it would be noon, lunch to, 5, whatever, that sort of thing. So that's just another option we can discuss.
I may be able to do that.
And I just,
Couple weeks.
just in terms of also coordinating with the selectmen's training. And where's that being held, Yolanda?
I don't have that information yet, but I'm sure we can find that.
So,
Does someone have a problem with you have a problem, Tony, with the 30th?
Well, I think I was planning on taking some time at the end of next week, but even if I'm here, I think one of my thing is just being able to put a
Prep for it.
complete package together for the board, in terms of, an agenda and all of that, in that amount of time.
I mean, the other thing would be is then instead of recommending they go to the selectmen training, we then add some extra training in our session, if we decide to do it on the 6th, because I know as of the 13th,
yeah,
you're not free any
No.
Saturday.
no, so,
Yeah, 6th is no
I've
good.
been, I've
Did
been
you
to
say
the
the si-
training, the selectmen's training. I've been to a couple of them, and they do offer them on a regular basis. I do think it's a good thing to attend.
Sure.
If you're available. And they do give them periodically, you'll see as you start to get correspondences from MMA and different organizations, you'll start to see these opportunities come up. But, I think, actually, my own opinion is I think our retreat might be more important.
I didn't realize the 30th, what might not be an issue,
So-
might not be a possibility, so.
The Saturdays would work better for me, at least in the
Okay.
short run, and the training is a full day, or,
It's pretty much a full day, yeah. Yeah.
so it might be hard for me to do that day as a full day anyway, so I would be available in the morning on the 6th,
Okay.
or the morning on the 30th.
So we're talking about the 6th,
I
or
think
the
the 6th
30th.
seems like it'd be, you know,
Works for
Joe and
me.
I got all the flexibility in the world right
He
now,
has,
so.
he'll have just about as much time as I have, so, within 8 days, so.
So the 6th then, Saturday the
works.
6th?
I think the 6th, okay.
Flex twins.
Okay,
So we're talking the morning, 9
June
to,
6th.
9 to 1 or something like that.
Right, and I think, Tony, you
That work for you,
suggested
Tony?
a site potentially?
Yeah, I'll try to see if I can get the Warren Conference Center, so we can touch base with them, you know, have Susan call over and see if they can accommodate us on Saturday, the 6th,
okay,
probably in the
9 to 1?
White House. Yeah, we'll ask for, like 9 to 1.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That works for me.
Okay, let's go up to E, discussion of the Board of Selectmen Scholarship Review Committee. So for Rob and Carl, as of last year, we have started giving out two Board of Selectmen scholarships to one graduating male senior and one graduating female senior. We have the applications. What we determined last time was that it was good to have two people sort of be the subcommittee. We could all review the applications and certainly give our feedback, but the subcommittee would bring forward recommendations as to who those scholarships would go to. So part of the discussion today is, are there two people who would like to be on that subcommittee to review the applications and make recommendations?
I'd like to be on,
Joe?
if possible.
Okay,
I-
Anyone
I would
else?
too.
okay.
I mean,
No, that's
It's not
fine.
taking anything away
That's
from you
good.
guys, but
Yeah, no, that's,
Okay,
we don't wanna throw everything on you at one time.
that's right.
It'll come soon, believe me. Not right now.
so you'll review and,
Yes.
So we have, where are those?
They're all
depositories?
downstairs.
They're all downstairs, okay.
Mhm.
We have copies, do we have to review them in the office, or are there copies made?
I can make you guys copies if
Could
you're
you?
gonna do it together. There's one set of them, however you want it done, I'll do it.
Yeah, I guess if you could make copies, it'd be
Or I
good.
can scan them and send them to you.
That'd be perfect.
That's
Yeah,
fine, that's
yeah.
fine.
Scan them and send
Sure.
them.
Will it be available for us to look at, just kind of?
yeah, I think if you scan and send them, she'll
To the
send them
whole
to
board?
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah. or
That
put
way
'em
we
on
can
that
all review, and if you have any
email.
feedback,
Joe and I
Right,
can make
just-
time to
You
meet.
have my email, so you can just shoot it right across.
Okay.
That would
How
work.
many applicants do you have?
I don't know.
17.
That's more than we had last time.
yeah,
That's great,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good.
so we'll make a time to sit
Yep.
down together.
Yeah, we're under a time crunch.
And were you able to include
that's
that
right.
person that was
Time
late?
crunch.
You saw
Yes.
that, okay.
Right.
yeah, she got included.
Tell me.
Okay.
We'll
Yeah,
work
because
on it.
graduation is Sunday, June 7th.
Right,
Okay,
so,
so we've got to do it maybe this weekend at some point.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Now, I believe, no, this is a hearing, so we still can't start.
No, few more minutes.
Okay.
Minutes.
No, she's coming.
Do you think we can do G in 5 minutes? Or do you think it's gonna be longer?
Which, in 5 minutes?
The implementation and phasing of the new sign policy.
Oh, we could probably look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still in old and new business. We're going down to G. Discuss implementation and phasing of the new sign policy. And this is for the new signs that we have on 135
In Pond Street.
and Pond. Steve, why don't you take us through this?
Sure, so, several meetings ago, we started the process to coordinate with the town meeting appropriated funds for downtown signage. We determined we needed to revise our sign policy downtown, so what we've done with this policy, and it was voted in on our April 29th meeting, is that we've eliminated signs on the island where historically they've been. So at this point, as well as looked at, and we've purchased a couple of new freestanding signs that are gonna be in place on 135. So at this time, we need to start to, I guess, give some thought to coordinating the downtown situation. Right now, there's, I believe, 2 signs there, plus the lion sign. And I'm not suggesting that we remove anything now, but as we start to, and Michael, you can fill us in on the status of our RFP for the new signage, and we can phase it and implement it at that point. But, you know, I guess the question is, do we allow additional signs up until, currently, or do we eliminate it at this point and just accommodate what's there currently?
Just to give you an update on the RFP, so that's going to be issued May 27th with the bids due on June 10th. We hope to make a decision a week later because it's pretty straightforward. At that point, we should have a contract signed by July 1st, and we have set a construction end date of 90 days after that.
Okay.
So,
So that being said, I would suggest that we continue with allowing signage there through that period of time until
Oh,
we
yeah, I
get to
mean-
that point where we're close to, the sign downtown, especially particularly the event signage that's gonna be available, so.
Well, considering we're not gonna have the new signage available until the end of September,
September,
Right.
then we.
so I think we need to
do
continue with the current sign policy.
Continue until that's completed or near completion. That make
And the
sense?
summer concert program gets over in August anyway, so we'll be phasing that out anyway, so, other than 135, so. We'll make the small sign, so.
All
yeah,
right,
that
makes
works.
sense?
Yep, yeah,
Okay.
sounds good to me.
Yeah, so I think we need to leave this in place
So-
until we have the new
So
signs.
we have time frame.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we do have the time frame, right?
Third week in July?
I mean, July 1 is the expected beginning of construction, and it's gonna take 90 days. That's the
Assuming
end
it
of
starts-
September.
maximum 90 days.
90 days.
Right.
And hopefully, they get it done sooner.
So if it's sooner than that, then we'd adjust accordingly, so,
Yeah.
based on time frame.
I say we table this and revisit it in August.
Works?
Okay,
Okay.
make a motion?
I don't
We
think
have
we
to-
need to
we
make a
don't need to make a
motion, no,
motion
I
then?
think we
Okay.
just,
We're not,
we'll make sure we get
Give it
that on
till
an
August?
agenda in
Okay.
August. Okay.
Okay.
It is now 7:20. And we're going to move to our first hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing regarding an application for a Class II license for Mike's Collision at 183 Magunko Road, Ashland, Mass. 01721. A public hearing will be held on the matter at the Ashland Town Hall at 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. On Wednesday, May 20th, 2015 at 7:20 PM. Parties wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place indicated above. Interested parties who are unable to attend the hearing may submit written comments to the Selectman's Office, Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. 01721, or by emailing Susan Roby at sroby@ashlandmass.com. It is now, public hearing is now open. If I could have the representatives from Mike's Collision, thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
hello?
Good evening.
This is my first time, so I'm not sure what the proper protocol is.
Okay, if you could introduce yourself.
Michael McClemens from Mike's Collision, the owner and operator of the body shop on Magunko Road. I've been there about 6 years now, and just looking to apply for a used car license.
Okay. Can you take us through what the changes will be? How many cars?
I'm going for this as kind of accent the pre-existing business. It's not really a new venture I'm trying to accomplish. It's more so customers that may come in that may have total losses, that are looking for a new car. It may be something along the lines of for rentals for myself, to be able to rent cars. But it's not going to be like a used car lot. So it's more so I was thinking probably maximum would be 3 to 5 cars at one given time. I don't want to deter from my collision industry. I want to accent it and improve it. That's pretty much the reasoning.
Okay.
So, is it like if people come in and they're getting some work done and you're either gonna rent them or lend them a car, is that what you're?
Yes,
Or sell them a car?
Well, like, my father has 45 rentals, and he's been pushing me since I've opened up to that's an avenue that's accented. I have tow trucks, I have the collision repair. Now you kind of monopolize the repair process by being able to have rentals available for the customers as well.
Sure.
Which now I have 1 or 2, but I'm going through friends or my father or things like that to be able to acquire cars. My wife I brought with me, she has a local fleet account that I manage that every 12 to 18 months, sometimes 2 years, they want me to upgrade one of their vans for them, you know, and I have to, again, get somebody else involved to go, because they, you know, instill the trust in me to go find a vehicle. So it's not really something that I wanted to have for sale signs and sales and get really loud about it. Just more so an available convenience, I guess, if you will.
Okay.
So are
May
they
I-
sales and rentals, sir?
The rental would be more so to the body shop. It would be for customers, in-house customers. If someone were to come in.
But the cars would be for both?
The cars, the license I'm going for would be the availability to replace someone's car who was total that was declared a total loss. Or, you know, being a local guy, some people come to me and say, I'm looking for a car for my daughter for college, or their first car. And I just wanted the availability to be able to go to the auctions and things like that and pick vehicles up. So it's more of a great convenience for me and be able to provide another service for my customers.
Okay. Steve, any questions?
So just, Mike, run through the schematic that you provided.
Yes.
You know, based on your buildings and so on. And
Yeah,
it
Mike's, McGunker Road's a little spread out.
Yeah,
So
so
I
it
have,
looks like you've got storage behind one of your buildings. And I'm assuming that's the dedicated space for these vehicles. So if I count properly, there's 5 spaces. Is that what you're?
yes, they're not marked spots in the back.
Because typically with these licenses, you define the number of spaces and so on.
Being back on McGunker Road, there's an area, probably 150 feet by about 60 feet that we use for general parking. It's not something we dedicate to a certain specific use. It's something there where they would almost go unnoticed. But where if were needing to delegate a certain spot for the license, that they would be very convenient, they'd be out of sight, out of mind, and they would be there and not interrupting any of my abutters, or the traffic that comes through for the gas pumps or anything like that, for the Camille's.
Right.
So, I didn't know with the license, I mean, if I happen to come across a car that I might try to retail, not my goal.
Yeah.
But-
This is a little different than, you know, we've had licenses come before us with, you know, maybe somebody applied to do this at the mill building. And, you know, not really, I mean, your situation is it's an auto
Collision, yeah.
company. So you have cars there all the time. So, you know, I understand what you're saying. It might not be 5, it might be 6 or 7, but it,
I'm in my head, where I'm going with this would be more so, probably 2 or 3, but I don't wanna say 2 or 3 and have 5. And
Right.
you really should disclose that at the time you went for the license. I'd rather say 5.
yeah.
I think it's a little on the high side, but I think, let's be realistic.
Okay.
Now, do you do repair work other than collision? You do,
The main business is the collision
collision.
repair, yeah.
Do
Frame
engine
straightening,
repair?
unibody. I'm sorry?
do you do engine repairs and
We really don't get involved. If it's part of a collision loss, if
Yeah.
it's a suspension damage due to a loss or something like that, we would. But no, even my own vehicles, to be honest, and if it's much more than an oil change, I'll go to one of the local mechanic repair
So you'd have
facilities.
to have an arrangement with a local repair station?
Yes, yes. I mean, I
Okay.
use Universal and
Yep.
and National Motors,
Okay.
and Marathon Mobile, and a number of different local guys that are great guys.
And you have 2 right down by you as well.
Yeah, Bobby
right?
Day. Bobby
Bobby
Day's
Day.
been great, yep.
Yep.
Yep. You know, so, and I approached them each, you know, the Bruce Camilles, the Bobby
Mhm.
Days, Richie Pontini, and said, you got, like, we wouldn't know the difference, Mike. It's,
Now, where your trailer is, and that used to be your office, now your office is in the backside, would you be parking where Al's Landscape used to be? Is that where you're
Where his
thinking of
trucks
putting your
used to be,
car? So
yes.
you'll have Niacol's fence as a backup, and then that's the area that we're looking at?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
yep.
I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
No.
No? Okay. I can get a motion to approve the Class 2 license for Mike's Collision?
We need to close the hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, sorry, I jumped ahead. Actually, I need to do a few more things. If there's anyone here to speak in favor of this Class 2 license request.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And again, Mark Sony. I've been, because the Niacol and my answer is right near there, I've been driving by there, and it's basically a square frame fenced-in area, yes. And I know you have that one big garage just everybody drives in and work the cars from there. 3 cars would be good, because of turnaround radius and stuff like that. But to work with what you have, for how long you've been there, 6 years? He's done well. He should get this.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak against or is opposed to this Class 2 license for that location? Okay, hearing none. Any other further discussion or questions by the board?
Did you want to specifically have a number, Steve?
We could, we can.
Like
We
not to
can-
exceed
Not to
something?
exceed 5.
Right, not to
make it-
exceed a
make it
certain number.
contingent
That'd be good.
on that,
Okay.
Okay,
Would that be agreeable?
okay. Okay, I'd like to now have a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And now if we can make a motion to approve, and Steve, why don't you amend as you think appropriate?
Sure, so I move that we approve the Class 2 application to Mike's Collision, is that the correct name of the company? With the amendment that it's the space, the number of cars restricted to 5 vehicles. Is that reasonable? And you can always come back, I think, to modify that if you so choose, but, okay, so, subject to 5 vehicles in
Not to exceed 5.
storage, not to exceed.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That passes.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank
Thank you. Good. Okay. Moving on, our next appointment is with All Town Mobile at 272 Pond Street. And is there someone here from All Town? Okay, great. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held in the Board of Selectmen Meeting Room located at Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland. The hearing will take place on Wednesday, May 20th, 2015, at 7:30 PM on the application filed by Global Montello Group Corp. The application is to amend the current underground storage tank license, which currently allows 40,000 gallons of gasoline at Mobile at 212 Pond Street, Ashland, Mass. The amended license would allow 10,000 gallons of diesel fuel and 30,000 gallons of gasoline. Parties wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place indicated above. Interested parties who are unable to attend the hearing may submit written comments to the Selectman's Office, Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. 01721, or by emailing Susan Roby at sroby@ashlandmass.com. Public hearing is now open. If you could come to the podium, introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Steve Sharon. I work with Global Montello Group Corp. I'm in the Environmental Compliance Department. We purchased the mobile station in 2010 from ExxonMobil. They had put the tank field in 1992. 4 tanks went in. It was just recently identified that the original permit was for storage of gasoline, 40,000 gallons in those 4 tanks. They're 10,000 gallon capacity tanks. When we purchased the station in 2010, the information that Mobile gave us and the information, or in how they were operating the station, one of the tanks was being used for diesel. We submitted, for us, we were not aware that the license was originally for 40,000 of gasoline. I do not know whether Mobile originally, when I look at how it's structured driving by, it looks like the diesel may have been originally gone in 1992, but people, you may know better than me. Or if sometime after that effect, Mobile converted one of them to diesel. So anyways, we filed an amended license when we bought it to change the property owner information on the license. And we've been submitting annual certificates of registration to register against that license to operate the station. When we submitted our renewal this current year, in addition to renewal for a permit to maintain from the fire department, it was identified by somebody with Ashland that the license did not reflect the storage of diesel. So the capacity, the volume's the same. It's just the type of material, flammable and a combustible, that the license just shows all gasoline. So we've submitted a license application or an amendment to the license to just get it to correctly reflect the diesel storage versus the the gasoline that's currently on the 1991 license.
And you are already doing diesel, but
Yes.
you're just
Yeah.
amending your license because it was
Exactly, yep.
identified.
So when we purchased it from ExxonMobil, they gave us we bought several stations from them, and they gave us a listing of tanks and what the storage materials were, and that's what we've been submitting for all our license renewals and so forth.
Okay,
Okay, so there,
okay, questions?
I have a few. So there won't be any digging of
Yep.
new tanks?
No.
The tanks that are currently there are gonna be the same tanks that you're gonna be currently using?
Yep.
And just one of them is gonna be specified just for diesel?
That's correct.
That's it? Which is
Yep.
currently what you're doing since '91
Yeah,
anyway?
no infrastructure changes
Okay,
planned.
okay.
Steve, any questions?
Just the interaction with our fire department, what is the, you know, I see Captain Roby in the audience.
Well, I mean, and maybe he would like to speak to it. I use we have multiple stations, and we use a permit management company to handle all our registrations and so forth, so happy to have him speak on any feelings he has towards it.
So basically, on the fire department, what happened was with their license, they're also required to file with us for a permit. That's annually. License is once issued to the land, it's basically forever, long as they maintain it. Permit is annually. They submitted their paperwork to me this year, and that's when I looked at it. And they still applied for 40,000 gallons, but it's 30,000 in gas, 10 in diesel. The original license said all gasoline, so it's more of a clerical change, I think. I think they've been doing diesel for a while, but
Okay.
I think it finally got caught.
Okay.
They
Well,
get
thank you
caught.
for catching it.
Yeah.
Thank you for catching
Really.
that difference.
That error.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, just,
Rob?
so there's no real difference in terms of safety between diesel and gasoline, or we're now recognizing that there's a diesel tank there, I take it?
Diesel's safer than
Okay,
gasoline, so
yeah.
both are gonna be covered under the same systems.
Okay.
And again, they'll have to file annually anyway, so we'll inspect it annually with that done.
All right, thank you.
Carl, any questions?
Well, I was gonna ask, we're assuming that the
Could you come
tanks
back,
are
Keith?
code compliant as they are?
That actually falls under the EPA now, not the fire department. They changed the regulations, so they're obligated to have them tested and maintain the records on site, and then the EPA can walk in at any time and view them.
Right, there's annual, the tanks themselves are not tested, but the system is continually monitored for any releases, and that's a double wall system, so it's a tank within a tank, so we have sensors in between, and we actually have them wired in, and they're being monitored continuously by a company in Virginia.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Anyone here to speak in favor? Okay.
Evening. My name is Bob Roy. I live abutting right to the mobile at 314 Elliott Street. And I just got one question is, there's going to be no pump changes, no hose changes? Because I know the diesel pump is way in the back near the car wash. There's going to be none of
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
right?
Before a month ago, we thought, it was properly licensed for that, and we've been operating, so there's no changes at all related to this.
Just in the paperwork.
Yeah, this is just a paper.
And I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Anyone here to speak against or opposed? No? Okay. Any other further discussion or questions by the board?
No?
Okay. If I can have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And if I can now get a motion to approve the amended FP2 license.
Sure. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the current underground storage tank facility licensed, which allows 30,000 gallons of gasoline, to be now 30,000 and 10,000 for diesel at mobile station located at 212 Pond Street.
272.
Hold on. What was that, Carl?
Plus 272.
Is it
Pond Street.
272 or is it 212?
272.
It's 272, sorry, I have 212.
Oh, yeah, it says 212 here.
Yeah, the letter said,
The agenda says 272. Is it 272 or?
I thought it was 270.
It is 272. The motion was, okay.
okay.
Stand corrected, 272 Pond Street instead of 212. Thank you, Cal.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Captain Roby, for catching that. Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, we have a few minutes before our 7:40. I'm gonna go off agenda, and I'm gonna allow Carl and Rob, if each want to take a minute and just, is there anything you'd like to say to the community now that you're sitting as a
You can
member
go
of the
first,
Board of
Carl,
Selectmen?
if you like.
Well, I'd just like to thank everyone. It was been quite an experience for me. I met a lot of new people. I was reacquainted with a lot of people that I haven't seen for a long time. It was a lot of work, but a lot of positive experience for me. So I want to thank everyone, and I look forward to working with the rest of the members of the board in charting a positive and sustainable vision for Ashland going forward.
Okay. Rob?
Yeah, I just wanted to, thank Yolanda and Paul Shastney for running a good campaign. As Carl said, it's nothing like campaigning. It really improved me as a candidate in terms of meeting people, and I really and re-met people, and really learned about the issues, and it was a hard work, but a great experience, and I certainly appreciate the number of people that supported me and all the voters that came out. And I certainly appreciate the support and look forward to working with the other members of the board and town management to, handle the affairs of Ashland as well as we can and deal with some of these challenges we have. So thank you all.
Great, thank you very much. It is now.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, is there anything
Yes.
you want to say? You just got reelected. Oh, it's fair,
Well-
fair, right? I would assume, right? Sure.
True, Joe.
Okay.
But you know me, I don't
I know
always like
that,
to.
I know.
But I also would like to, I think the campaign was very strong. Thank you to both Paul and Philip for running. I always think it's good to have a contested race so that there are people that you can find out about and make a decision based on who you think you want sitting at the table. So it was good for Ashland to have the contested race, and I hope we continue seeing that in the future. I'd like to see us try to get more people out to vote. We only had 10% show up. And considering some of the discussion and the debate that was going on, I would have thought that we might have had a few more people come out. But I think moving forward, we need to find ways to engage the public even more and get more people to turn out. I mean, it's been a conversation that we've been having for a while here in Ashland, and I think we need to continue it and find ways to get more people involved. But I'm thankful to be sitting here, and I appreciate the votes and the support. And it is now 7:40, so we're going to move on to our next appointment. It's a poll hearing regarding Corderville Road, Corborn Drive, to install stub poles. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Selectmen will conduct a hearing for the purpose of NSTAR Electric Company to obtain a grant of location to install 3 stub poles, 33-3S, 33-5S, and 3314S. This work is necessary to provide additional support to existing pole line. A public hearing will be held regarding this at the Ashland Town Hall, Ashland, Mass. On Wednesday, May 20th, 2015 at 7:40. Persons wishing to be heard on this matter are invited to attend the public hearing at the date and time noted above. Interested parties who are unable to attend the hearing may submit written comments to the Selectmen's Office, Town Hall 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. 01721, or by emailing Susan Roby at sroby@ashlandmass.com. Public hearing is now open.
Good evening, Christine Crosby with NSTAR Electric, Eversource Energy. And we are requesting a grant of location for 3 stub poles out at Oak Street, located at poles 3, 5, and 14. And the purpose of the stub poles would be to provide support to the existing pole line that's presently there. NSTAR wishes to make some system improvements, and the added wire that they'd be putting on the poles out there could cause some additional strain. So that's why they required the stub poles, additional support.
So,
Okay,
a
questions?
stub pole. Explain what a stub pole is.
Okay, it's the existing poles on one side of the street that has the distribution wires. And if the poles, if they lean in any direction, then they would put another pole on the opposite side of the street, with just a guy wire cable to brace the
To
pole to
support-
keep
okay.
it straight.
And the pole is the same, the height of the pole is the
Same
same?
height,
It's just
yep.
defined as a stub pole as
Yes,
opposed to
because it's just, to provide support.
okay.
Now, I noticed that the area on Oak Street does not have sidewalks, but if there were sidewalks there, I would assume they would make it so that it wouldn't be smack middle in the sidewalk like some of them are.
Yeah, no, they're off they're off the road, and
Okay.
they're in like a dirt area where, kind of in a brush wooded area.
I know this isn't your fault. However, since I've been on the board, there has been communication sent from this town to Enstar, which is now Eversource, about the two poles situations that we have in Ashland. And if I may, quickly, I call them the bipoles. And those were erected because a pole was put aside another pole because of a motor vehicle crash or an act of Mother Nature that may have damaged the pole. And it's not that we were promised, but we were told at some point in time that some of these sections of poles would be removed and the damaged pole would be replaced. Well, I've been here for 6 years, and that hasn't happened yet. And that's been going way beyond, I mean, way before even my time. Maybe when Rob was on for his first time around. Is there anyone that we can talk to get some movement on this? Because I know we've sent letters and letters and letters, and we usually get a template saying, yeah, we're working on it, we're still waiting, we're just working on it. And now that I have your undivided attention, I'd like to see if we can get some action on that. And I know it has nothing to do with what we're discussing, but seeing that you're here,
Yes,
you're the source of of the message to go to the folks at Eversource.
Do you happen to have the location of the poles, the street?
They were all over town. I mean,
Oh, you're
do we have-
talking,
do
you're
we have a-
talking in general, I didn't know if it was a
We
particular
actually had
location.
a couple of them taken care of. I know on Main Street, there was a couple of them taken care of. The couple on Elliott Street have
The
been
Elliott
taken
Street
care
ones,
of.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
Those were
But I-
taken.
Christine was the one actually that I kept emailing you on.
Yeah.
That was,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
was Christine's doing.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that. But there are still several more that need to be addressed. And if we can get that to you, that would be wonderful, because it is an eyesore, and I know that some of them are in the middle of a sidewalk, and then people have to go out onto the roadway, especially those folks who, with carriages and strollers. Now they're getting themselves in harm's way because they have to navigate around the pole and around the
If you
center.
can give me a few, we
Locations.
clearly can't give her every pole in town.
No, I know.
But if we could give her a couple, Christine's been very
You
good
put
at
prior
staying
to
on
ours,
and
yeah.
following them
Okay.
through. Yolanda had questions on the one on Elliott Street, and
Yeah.
Christine, every time something new came up,
Okay.
she let me know. I can do the same with that.
Okay, I just don't have that luxury of being in a cruiser, driving around and seeing it all now, so,
Right.
those
Yeah.
days are gone. But, maybe we can have,
But if there's something in particular that you know about that's a
Okay.
problem,
I
Alright.
would also say if there's public watching and they have a double pole in their neighborhood, email Susan
Yep.
so we can start getting a
Yes,
list
that would be great.
of where those double poles are that need to be taken
And I
care
don't mean
of.
to take it out on you.
Oh, I know that, and usually it's because we're waiting for other utilities to transfer,
Sure.
and, so we have a double pole database, and I can even try to get a copy of it to you, and
That would be
if you want to give it off to DPW, and they can prioritize the locations, and we can maybe try to
Thank
work
you.
on them that
Especially
way.
ones with crosswalks or sidewalks.
Yeah, because
Thank
I know the ones on Elliott took a while because you had to wait for certain things to move
Yes.
at certain times, and
Mhm.
but it's nice that those have been taken care of.
now, does that list show who is?
It
next-
should,
oh,
yeah.
Ball
Ball and court, yeah,
Ball-
it should. I think they changed the format, but it's pretty much the same type of report,
Okay,
so if we can,
that would be helpful,
Yep.
because we would know if we're responsible for any of them too.
Right.
yeah.
Can I just ask,
Okay.
Christine, is there a policy on double pole replacement or a certain maintenance schedule that Enstar has or Eversource has for this?
Not that I'm aware of, just that
So-
we have to wait, because we can't transfer anybody else's wires, they have to do them. But I can find that out for you.
I guess I'm just asking, if we hadn't brought this up, what would have been your approach to these double poles? I mean,
Just try to work at them as, what happens is once another utility transfers, they input that information into the database, and we get like a notification, and then the next utility gets that same notification, and they're supposed to go out and do their
Oh.
transfers, and so.
all right,
it's
so the
just a matter-
policy is to replace these and fix them as as the utilities get updated or whatever, move. So that's,
Right, so what happens, as I've learned, is there's at least 3 or 4 sets of wires on each of these poles, and each, so Comcast, Verizon, N-Star, and whoever else, each has to move their own from one pole to another, so if there's
Oh,
2
yeah.
poles sitting there. So like the Elliott Street was a good example for me. There was a pole that was in someone's driveway, they decided to put a new pole and a second pole to help with the placement of it. You saw both of the poles sitting there, and then one by one, you saw the sets of wires get transferred from one pole to the other. And they had to just wait for each utility to move to move their wires. Once all the wires were moved, then the pole could be removed. So it's a timing thing. But yeah, if we could get a list from you
Yeah.
as to the
That-
status, then as we see polls, we can cross-reference and then at least get an understanding of where we are with things.
Thank you, Christine.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you.
that.
Okay, so back to this discussion in regards to adding the stub poles. Any questions for Christine regarding the location, the timing? So when would these go in?
When they're getting ready to do the circuit improvements, they'll go out and set the poles then, once they're ready to put the new wires up.
Okay.
It could be 6 months from now, but this is something that they're looking to do.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. Any other discussion or questions?
Just real quickly,
Sure.
Madam Chair. The stub poles, are they, as opposed to the double poles, these will be permanent?
It's a permanent location, yes,
Okay.
to provide that support.
Okay, anything else? If I can get a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Does the motion need to be in specific wording? I mean, I'm looking at the paperwork in my package for the petition and for the order.
No,
Or
it
not?
just requires the signatures of the board. and-
Okay, once we've done the approval.
Right, yes.
Okay. Okay, so have I closed it?
Yes, you
Yes, you did,
Okay.
so,
I can get a motion?
sure. I move that the board approve the request from N-Star Eversource for the installation of 3 stub poles on the westerly side of Oak Street, labeled as 33-3S, 33-5S, and 33-14S as provided in the diagram.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that gets approved.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome. Sue, you'll let me know what we need to sign?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay,
And thank you for letting me clarify that.
not a
even
problem.
though it wasn't part of the,
Okay. We have 10 minutes until our next hearing, and again, because it is a hearing, we cannot start that early. Let's see. Introduction to OPEB trust agreement? Joe, Steve, and Mike, ready for that?
Sure.
do that.
So we're moving back down again to our old and new business. This is item D, introduction to OPEB trust agreement. Mike, take it away.
Sure, so, thank you. The OPEB Trust held its first meeting last week, where we conducted a number of business items. First was the election of officers, and second was a discussion on the trust agreement and the trust documents, which is essentially the guiding document for the trust and its actions, and it, just briefly, it defines what the responsibilities are, who the members are, and again, some of the parameters within which the trust can operate. So the trust voted 5-0 to accept those documents, but as the OPEB Trust Committee is partially formed by the Board of Selectmen, and in fact, actually, the establishment of an OPEB Trust is the Board of Selectmen's responsibility. It does need to come back to this board for approval. So this is an introduction to it. We're not asking for a vote on it tonight.
Okay.
We think that would probably be more appropriate at the next meeting after you've had a chance to review and have any questions. So I don't know if you have any questions now, or if Steve wants to add anything.
The only thing I would add, Michael, is just for folks that may or may not be aware, we created the trust at our fall town meeting.
Correct.
And we, at our last town meeting, we transferred monies from the stabilization fund to the trust. And at this point, where the trust is working through will eventually get to the point where we're investing the money some form or fashion and providing that fiduciary responsibility.
Correct. Correct.
So one thing I'm noticing, I looked through these before we met, and I don't know if this is something you want to change, but under Article 5 for trustees, because this is not the case, it says the Board of Selectmen shall call for the first meeting of the trustees, and the current chairman of the Board of Selectmen trustees shall serve as the initial chairperson of the trustees to facilitate the organization of the trustees.
Okay.
So, we might want to replace that language.
Kind of already done that, right?
Yeah. I mean, we had some amendments to the
Oh,
initial
okay.
trust document, which aren't necessarily reflected here, so.
I mean, I think it can say the current Board of Selectmen representative. Okay. Because I know, because Steve is our current representative to the trust, so, okay. So you would like us to review this in more detail, bring any other questions forward, or let you know about them so we can vote this at the June 3rd meeting?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments right now?
Just to
Carl?
follow up on what Steve said, I think, and maybe you said this, but if you did, I didn't catch it. Just for the people watching, to explain what OPEB stands for.
So other,
And why we're forming this trust.
okay. Mike, you want to take that?
Sure. OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. It's primarily health insurance for retirees. It's a liability that the town has to account for on its audited financial statements, and so on paper, but then also practically as well. We currently do pay a portion of our health insurance budget goes towards retiree benefits, and this is about assessing that liability going forward and making plans to address it. So what the trust does is it takes funds, we are able to invest those funds to achieve a certain rate of return, which will help reduce our liability moving forward.
Has the liability level been set? I mean, do we have a goal for this, or?
Well, as of 2013, the end of June 30th, 2013, the liability was $24.2 million. We expect with some of our recent health insurance changes, as well as moving this money into the trust and investing it at a significantly more of a rate of return than you would with the stabilization fund, we expect that liability to go down. So, and our next evaluation of that is due this summer. It will be for the year ending June 30th, 2015. So we should have
At some point, we'll
idea.
be working on a schedule, right, moving forward in terms of meeting that liability, right, as of.
We kind of, we have an interesting schedule now, if you will, that we're trying to get to a point where every new employee that we bring on, we're funding that person's annual required contribution, which is another value that the actuaries formulate. Currently, it's about $2,400 per employee. We're able to do that on the municipal side fairly easily and account for that on the municipal side. The school department, it's a little bit different. They have a lot of turnover in certain positions, and so we're trying to find a way to basically evaluate which positions would be subject to that policy. If you have, paraprofessionals that are going in and out every 2 years, which perhaps are not even going to vest into the system, and therefore you wouldn't have to pay that liability. Obviously, you wouldn't want to start committing funds to that. So that's something that the OPEB trust has discussed, coming up with that, or working with, the different administrations to come up with that policy statement.
I'm sure it can be quite complex deciding what the liability is. That's
Right.
not easy.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Steve?
No, I think once the board does approve the trust agreement, then the trust will then be in the position to start to interview some investment firms and start to earn some money on our money.
Okay. So you said that there are already some changes that you've made to this?
Correct.
Okay. So if you can make sure you get them to us before the next meeting, so we can look at them and review them? Okay. And we will plan on voting this at the next meeting, our June 3rd meeting. So if you have any other questions, you can shoot them directly to Mike. Okay? Good. Okay. Okay. The reason I'm taking my time is because we don't have any other things that would only be for about a minute, and our next appointment is at 8 o'clock, and because it is for a liquor license, we do have to wait until exactly 8 o'clock to start. So we're gonna move this to later.
How about the update on electric vehicle lease?
Update on electric, sure, we can, well, so we're gonna move to town manager reports. And,
Kara's here if you want to do that one.
oh, is Kara here? Okay. Oh, I didn't see her. I didn't see her come in. Yeah, she would be a minute. Come on up. So this is, again, from old and new business. This is A, request funds from our gift account for a matching grant from the Boston Food Bank for a new cooler. Go.
Hi. So I was in the works, we're aligning ourselves with the Greater Boston Food Bank. And in doing so, we're going to increase the amount of produce we're going to be receiving, as well as other protein sources like yogurt, hummus. We'll be able to get some meat. So the plan in moving forward to more of a self-serve and increasing education about healthy foods and nutrition, we'd like to put an open cooler in the front of the food pantry. So what we're looking to do for that, through the Greater Boston Food Bank, they have a community initiative where we could get half of the funds as long as we can get matching in-kind funds. So that's what I'm here for, to get the other half of the money. So.
Okay, and the reason you're here now versus waiting is I heard there's a time constraint,
Yes,
right?
so
You need to
they're
know by a certain
requiring
time.
basically a good, agreement or promise that it will be coming for them to okay the funds on their side.
Okay.
So that's why it is kind of I need the money to get the money.
To get the money, yeah. Well,
You've heard that before.
well, you need money to make money,
Right.
so, okay. Any other questions or comments for Kara?
No, I guess the only question is, what is our balance in our gift account currently?
I don't know the answer to that. I wish
I'm
I
sure
did.
we've got it covered, I'm just.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
More than
I
enough.
think.
Might be
yeah.
able to- I
So
might
we're
be able to-
talking, Kara,
So
in
it
the
would be
amount of.
$825. I would get that, obviously, $825 from the Greater Boston Food
Right.
Bank, and then $825 from the Selectmen's gift account, and it would be $1,650. And we are getting it from Belcher's, which is Ashland-owned, in Framingham, but Ashland-owned, and they're giving us a great deal. So I think that's kind of a win-win situation, and I know it's going to be kind of moving toward, like I said, the increase in the nutrition. We'll be able to have more of the items from the farmer's market as well, and all the produce that people can bring in from their gardens.
Very good.
Okay.
So the $1,650 covers the cost
Yep.
and the delivery and
Yep.
the install, that's.
Exactly, everything.
Okay.
Turnkey, okay,
Yes.
very good.
If I can get a motion?
Sure, a motion that the board approve $825 from our gift account for the Ashland Food Pantry for the purchase, or for a matching grant for the purchase of a cooler for the pantry.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And just another reminder that the
So-
Ashland Emergency
see
Fund
second.
is having a food drive this weekend
On
at Shaw's.
Saturday, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So just a reminder.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They were,
Thank you.
they were also looking for volunteers to help out, so if you want to help out on Saturday at Shaw's from
I think it was 10 to 2.
10 to 2.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, it is now 8 o'clock. We are moving on to our next hearing. This is a legal notice for the town of Ashland. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Selectmen will conduct a hearing regarding an application for an all-alcohol restaurant license to Jose R. Jans, DBA 3J's Pub, Inc., 1 West Union Street, Ashland, Mass. 01721. A public hearing will be held on the matter at the Ashland Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. On Wednesday, May 20th, 2015 at 8 p.m. Parties wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place indicated above. Interested parties who are unable to attend the hearing may submit written comments to the Selectman's Office, Town Hall 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. 01721, or by emailing Susan Roby at sroby@ashlandmass.com. So, if I could have whoever is going to be speaking to us regarding this.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight.
Good evening.
My name is Paul Machado. I'm here on behalf of your applicant, 3J's Pub, Inc., and Jose Rene Llanes. This is right here.
Okay.
And we're seeking an approval of an application for a Section 12 license, all pouring alcoholic beverages. The location we have is the former Corner Pub on West Union Street. And we're seeking the board's approval for our application here tonight. It is a new application, and I'm speaking with Ms. Roby. She's been very helpful. We want to make sure that we answer whatever questions or concerns the board has this evening.
Okay. Do you have any information you'd like to present or tell us about before we start asking questions?
The application speaks for itself. If you have any questions, my client would be happy to answer. We'd be whatever we can do.
Okay, well, unfortunately, only the 5 of us have advantage of looking at this. So do you want to maybe take us through the flavor of the restaurant, what your capacity is, what your hours are going to be, things like that?
Yeah, the idea is to be an American family-style restaurant. And the hours of operation will pretty much be the same, depending on how things go, as the prior owner, prior applicant. So we're not seeking any change there. And the capacity is staying the same. We're not really doing any material renovations inside. We may do a toilet or some fixtures inside the space. Mr. Karpousis here is the landlord, and we have a lease in place, and that's basically, it's not going to be much of a change in terms of the fare, if you will. Historically, there may have been, I understand, some questions about the operation, and my client's very sensitive to that. We've gone over it a number of times in terms of responsibility. And that's the responsibility that you folks have, and certainly one that they are very well aware of.
Okay.
They need to comply. And there had been talk about one of the things that they're planning on doing, and Mr. Velasquez, who's sort of the administrator of the group, is looking into an scanner system. And they found out in their research that some places have good luck with them and they're not very successful. So what he's trying to do is find a good system that works for them and will obviously serve its function.
Okay. Joe, I'll let you start with questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening.
Good evening.
I have several questions. You said basically it'll be the same operation hours that the former Corner Pub had, but that they need to be listed on the application, and I didn't see anything there.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So I would like, if you could just tell us verbally what the hours of operation are going to be on Monday through Friday,
Right.
and Saturday and Sunday. That would be, if you plan on opening on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, sir. Yes, they
Please.
do plan on being open Saturday and Sunday. They would operate Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., and on Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Okay, and what was the,
One more time
one
on
more
this?
time, please?
I'm sorry. Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m.
And you said it's gonna be an American family-style restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. Will you be serving breakfast at 8 a.m.? Because I don't think anybody's gonna go in and have a beer at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know that you'll be serving breakfast. Are you serving breakfast? They may be doing a brunch on Saturday and Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday they're
Okay.
doing a brunch.
That still doesn't answer my question about 8 o'clock opening.
But
I'm a little concerned about the early opening. That's it.
what time would your your Saturday brunch open? 10 o'clock would be when they probably.
So you need 2-hour prep time? You don't need to be open to prep?
No, just
Okay.
operation as far as the kitchen.
If you could come to the microphone as you answer these questions, please. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, brunch hours would basically be for the weekend. The service-wise, it does not need to be open at 8 o'clock. It would be just basically kitchen crew be in the kitchen at 8 in the morning.
Okay, so maybe you can make an amendment to your operating hours probably before we make a decision.
Okay.
I would appreciate that.
So, I'm sorry, sir, the 10 a.m. would be the hours of operation.
Okay.
So just to clarify, 10 a.m.
To 1,
Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m.? Is that?
Yep. And your last call will be at what time?
30 minutes before closing?
So you're saying 12:30?
Yes.
Okay.
Joe, any other questions?
I have several.
Okay.
Just writing down my notes so I don't
Yep.
forget. I appreciate that. In looking at the application, I did not see any certification of being tip certified.
All three gentlemen, Mr. Yanis and Mr. Velasquez are all tip certified.
Okay,
There's a
but we don't
typographical-
have any
I'm sorry, they just
acknowledgement
received
of
them.
that.
I'm sorry, sir, they just received them this week,
Okay,
and we discovered that there's a typographical error in the spelling of Mr. Yanis's name, but I do have them here, and I can provide them to Ms.
at some point that would be helpful,
Okay.
because that's a requirement that we have. Thank you. With respect to, and looking and reading over your application, I noticed that you had several places of employment. Mr. Yanis, you worked at Roach Brothers in West Roxbury, Halfway Cafe in Dedham. You were a cook. You were food prep for Roach Brothers. What position did you hold at Conrad's Restaurant? You were a cook?
You could come to the microphone. Thank you.
I'm a cook. Okay. Do any of you three have any experiencing, any prior experience with bars and the application of serving liquor to the public? Because I didn't see anything, and I'm a little curious about that.
Yes, we do. Me and my brother, name's Juan Velasquez, I work in a One Patar Country Club in Canton for 4 years. We serve in the morning. We cook, and we at the same time, in the golf courses, there's no bartenders or no waitresses. So one is cooking and the other one is serving at the bar. So we, but in golf course, it's more like beers and wine.
Mm-hmm.
And some alcohol, but that's during the night.
Okay. My concern with respect to that, sir, and I appreciate you giving me that answer, my concern is that you're gonna be opening up an establishment where you'll have people coming to your location, and it's not a golf course where people pay to play golf. You'll have people coming in of different ages coming in to sit down and enjoy your dinner and have a drink or two. So that's a whole different experience and different type of scenario. So if you don't have any of that experience, then I get a little worried about that.
No, I understand that. That's why us three, we've been taking class for 4 months to learn and all the stuff to get ready. We've been going to school, a professional bartender school in Brockton.
Mhm.
We attended for 4 months, and then past week we took a private, and we us three, we passed it. We've been training, and most people, at the restaurant, bartenders and stuff, now they don't have full certified tips, and they're not able to pass it. We train hard and learning, watching videos every day, how people react, how you should not serve someone, underage people.
That's a big key. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's a very big key. And we've had some issues in the past, very recently, as a matter of fact. So we take this very serious.
Yeah, that we are aware of that. That's why we're in the process of getting the checker ID. I have been talking to several establishments about I'm trying to get the right place. I talked to different ones. Someone would say to me, yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. We don't want to get something like that. We want to get something specific that will protect us for getting fake ID
Mm-hmm.
underage kids trying to.
Okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate your candor. Thank you. A couple more quick ones, Madam Chair, if you don't mind. Where was I going with this? Oh, yes. In looking at the operation, it's basically gonna look very similar to what you currently have. There'll be an upstairs and a downstairs, restaurant style. Will there be a separate bar upstairs or a serving bar upstairs, or is it just gonna be downstairs?
It will be just downstairs.
Okay. And will there be any additional employees, or is it just gonna be the three of you?
Oh, no, it will be different as well, yeah.
Okay. And we'll get a list of those employees and make sure that they're tip certified and recorded and all that? Okay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's contemplated that there would probably be 2 bartenders, 3 waitresses, and 3 people in the kitchen at any given time at a minimum, depending on.
Okay. And Mr. Yanas, you're gonna be the bar manager?
Yes.
So will you be there all the time? And if you're not there all the time, who will be your replacement, and who will have that responsibility?
It would be Jose Luis.
Okay.
And he did 60 hours is probably a minimal.
Oh, I understand.
business.
I understand businesses, and a restaurant business is not an easy business. But we've had some serious issues recently, and we don't want to see a repeat. And I think I speak for the entire board when we say that. We welcome new business in the town, but we want to make sure that it's done properly, and we hope you succeed. And you're the ones that are gonna make it successful, not us. You're the ones that are gonna have to make that successful by following the rules that we have and the policies that we have set. So that's all I have, Madam Chair, thank you.
Steve?
Well, I think, well, first of all, welcome to Ashland, and I thank you for considering Ashland as a place to do business. It seems to me, reading your application, you're making a significant personal investment in this enterprise, so I wish you well with it. What I would like to explore a little bit, Joe has asked some of the questions that I've, and you've answered subsequently. I'd like to explore your business model a little bit. Your application describes it as a sports bar. Part of your experience is at the Halfway Cafe in Dedham, I believe?
Yes, 10 years.
10 years? And so I'd like to get a better sense of, you know, what type of food, what the mix is, what the ambiance is gonna be in the facility.
Well, I would be the food manager. As far as food goes and menu goes, we're trying to keep it traditional America. So basically, we'll be serving a lot of apps, hamburgers, maybe some pizza, some pastas. Just trying to, basically put our honest spin on it. We're all cooks. We've been cooking for a long time, so.
Okay. You anticipate a restaurant that's gonna be family-friendly? I mean, to me, you know, and I don't wanna misrepresent anything, but, you know, sports bar has a certain connotation, again, I think the type of businesses that I'm speaking for myself now, the type of restaurants that I would like to see in Ashland are more family-oriented restaurants. So, do you anticipate that sort of?
Yes, that's why one of the reasons, in this location, the second floor, there is a pool table that we're taking that out. We're not gonna have any pool tables up there. On the second floor, we wanna set it up with more like functions, private functions, birthdays, plus funerals, parties, like kids' birthdays and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and our concept is definitely a family restaurant. The experience that we have is, we currently work right now in Conrad Restaurant.
Excuse me, which one?
Conrad's Restaurant.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a Italian-American
Okay.
family restaurant. We aim, keep the family, that's what especially, we don't wanna have like a bar, a sport bar or something like that.
Right.
I mean, even though the application say that, but our experience is working as a family restaurant, and that's what we do.
Okay, all right, good. I appreciate that. And I guess I just want to, as well, since Attorney, you did bring up the recent experience or recent history, that, this board is very, very sensitive to the public safety part of alcohol consumption, obviously. And I look at this, one of the things I've learned with some of our experiences recently is that we're really partners in ensuring the public safety here. And I think we can't stress that enough, that that we have to ensure that you gentlemen are taking care of business in your facility. So I just wanted to, again, I think we're probably all going to say the same thing.
As I said earlier, we've had a number of conversations about the history. And I don't know if it's more of a conversation or a lecture. That's how we sort of approached it. And
Yeah.
these gentlemen are very sensitive to that. I think, you know, your point regarding sports bar, I think Mr. Karpuzis wants to see us be a family restaurant. And so that is more of a creature in the description in the lease. But it, you know, it's basically serving the sort of fare that's mentioned here.
And I'm not, you know, denigrating sports bars.
But I
I'm just
understand the
saying, but,
connotation.
you know, yeah. Very good. All right, I think, you know, Joe, between Joe and my questions, I think you know, I've got mine answered.
Rob, any questions?
Yeah, just a clarification, this form you signed about understanding the policy. The establishment is Jay's Bar and Grill, is that?
It's going to be Jay's Bar and Grill.
That's going to be the name, okay. What's 3 J's Pub then, is that?
That's the corporation, that's a corporation.
Oh, okay, so your DBA is going to be Jay's Bar and Grill?
Jay's Bar and Grill.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else?
And just, did you, just another, you saw where did you see the pub, the sports bar designation? That's in the lease?
It's in
It's,
one of the
as I
forms
said, it's
here.
a creature of the
Okay,
lease, I'm sorry.
but you're committed to more of a family-style restaurant, okay. All right, well, thank you. Well, thank you for locating in Ashland, and thank you for coming here, so we'll see.
Carl?
I just wanted to reiterate what the rest of the board had said, and I was curious about the sports bar terminology as well, and I guess that's boilerplate language. And I didn't know if it was your language or their language, but it's something obviously that concerns all of us. And I wanted to reiterate what Steve said with regard to is it family friendly, because most of us, I think, don't interpret a sports bar, traditional sports bar, as something that is family friendly.
As I said, that's more of a creature of the language in the lease.
I guess if it's bar and grill, I guess I would ask you,
It
is
is.
it more bar or grill? Or,
And, you know, we could, if that, you know, we could address that. I think that's what's contemplated right now. It was just gonna be 3 J's Pub as the name
And I
is.
realize that you don't know that until you open, but what is your intent? Your target your target demographic is a family style.
His family is, and the change to the bar and grill is there an establishment in town that with a similar name?
Yeah.
Or what is it?
TJ's, yeah.
TJ's.
Yeah.
So they try to get away, you know, again.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There you go, that makes
So
sense.
just one quick question. What's your specialty?
What's your food specialty?
What's all three of you are cooks?
Correct.
So what's your personal specialty? What is it?
As far as food goes, traditional American food.
Yeah.
So, is there a restaurant that we might be familiar with that you could compare yourself to? That might help us figure out a little bit better what style of restaurant you're gonna be?
For example, at 99 Restaurant.
Okay.
And the place where it currently works, Conrad's Restaurant, is like family restaurant.
Okay. And this is your first venture, the three of you together? Okay.
Yeah, I've been a chef I've been running the kitchen for 7 years, but my first was actually as the owner.
That's all.
Okay. The three of you are owning it together?
No,
Mr. Yanis is the sole owner.
Okay.
shareholder.
Okay.
You rest with him, huh? The buck stops there.
He gets that.
Okay. And should you get approval tonight, what would be your, when would you look to be opening the restaurant?
August.
August, okay.
And what was the capacity again?
76, we used to have the capacity, but we want to keep it the same way. You know, just because on the second floor we're taking out the pool table,
Right.
we might have space to add another table, so make it 80, 86.
I saw the different lineup. I saw you had like additional 8 tables upstairs added on, so that's why
They've
I was
been
just kinda
working with
curious.
Mr. Oram actually with the Board of Health. and
Okay.
They've been working
Okay.
through that. and
Thank you.
They've had a number of meetings with them on that.
Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just wanted to reiterate that I wouldn't underestimate Mr. Mignani's concerns about past problems in town. It's something that the town takes seriously.
Very clear.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anyone else here to speak in favor of this restaurant? Gentlemen, you can have a seat for a second.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry.
My man.
I don't need the extra reading. Okay, Mark Sony. Where they're taking the former corner pub, it did have somewhat of a history with neighbors and clientele sometimes. This is gonna be family and newer. I'm just wondering, with the parking lot itself, it's not that big, and Cherry Street is not that wide. And in case anything does happen with alcohol and clientele, we don't want the recent history repeat on that side of town. So, board's being careful. Citizens want to be careful. We want you to have good luck. We don't want you to be any example to anything bad. We just want all good things. So you keep the nose to the grindstone, dot the i's, do the t's, you'll be all set.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here to speak against or is opposed to this new establishment going in? No? Okay. Any other discussions or questions by the board?
We're gonna close the
Yep.
hearing and then we'll
Yep.
discuss it.
Okay. Well, no, is there any other deliberation?
Well, I guess I'd like to explore, I guess a couple of areas that maybe we should define in a better way. I guess I'm a little unclear on the hours, why the hours are the way you've defined them at this point in time. And I'm just, I'm looking at another restaurant in town, and I'm looking at their hours, how their hours are structured, and they've got hours for the kitchen, and they've got hours for the restaurant slash bar. So, and their hours are, it's later, they open at 11:30 rather than 10 o'clock. So I guess I'm questioning why so early.
Simply because again, that was the prior license. Those were the hours of operation in the prior license. We merely just carried that forward.
Okay.
If there are concerns about hours, I think my clients would be willing to address it.
And that has nothing to do with going to do work as an employee, to go into the building and to prep.
Yeah, it was confusion between opening, we were thinking of the weekends opening for brunch, but no opening for, open the bar, it was just the brunch.
Yeah, and,
I was just serving food,
okay.
at that time.
Well, but, I mean, you can open if you're gonna have a brunch starting at 10 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, you can have the bar open, it's allowed by law. So that doesn't, I think the concern is more, what are your true hours? When are you gonna be serving food? What, will you be adjusting your menu related to that timing?
So as an example, if we did, and I'm just, you guys tell us what you want to do here, but, if you did Monday through Friday, if you did 11:30 through closing, is that a burden on your,
Yes,
on your
definitely,
business?
yeah, 11 to 10 o'clock, the regular hours for the kitchen, and, when it comes to open the bar, 11 to, 12:30, closing,
Okay,
30 minutes before closing the
Okay.
place.
so you're flexible in terms of the hours?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
all right. So then, the other point I think I'd want to raise as well is I'd want to be clear on the license that we grant in terms of last call, because I think my observation is that a lot of the problems that exist, they occur at that time, around that time. So, and our policy really doesn't define it very well in our written policy as it exists right now. So, my thinking is, and we can just include it as part of the license, that last call is at, if you're closing at 1, it's at 12:30, and the door is closed at 12:30. No new patrons at 12:30. So That would be the only thing that I would wanna see.
What we learned and we want to do is, the last call will be 12:30, so at the 12:30, there will not be bottles on the table, like alcohol.
So you wouldn't, there's, I think different communities do it differently, but, again, I think, we've gotta be very clear, last call is half an hour before, no new patrons enter the business, no pitchers of beer at that point in time, that sort of thing, we need to.
The last drink, the last call for the last drink would be at
Right,
12:30,
so I think we
doors
just-
locked, no one else in
Right.
the premises.
And again, we're essentially partners in this, I guess is where I'm going, so.
And I have to agree with Steve. We want to see you succeed, and we just want to give you some advice of some of the things that we observed over the last 6 months that have happened in town here. And we gave everybody the opportunity to do what needed to be done. And we got yeses all the time, but it never happened, so. But that's why we want to see you succeed. We're happy that you're in town. We want you to prosper in town, because I think we will work well together, and I have to agree with Steve.
Yeah, I'm sorry, if we have to put in the application that 12:30, the close will be door, yeah, we will close it, we're fine with that, yeah.
No, we're not asking you to close, just last call will be 12:30 and your last patrons have to be out by 1 o'clock. And that's, I just want to maybe say it a little bit differently, is that we welcome you as a new business, but we are concerned that you are going to be a business that respects the rules and works well in our community, because we want to see you do well, but we also are very concerned about the safety of the people who live here in Ashland, plus the people who may come and visit and come to your establishment.
Now, will you close the kitchen earlier than the bar itself? Because that's
Say
something
10
that we
o'clock would
probably
be the
didn't
kitchen.
discuss.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
It sounds like the kitchen would be 11 a.m.
To 10. Okay, thank you. We didn't address that. That's what I needed. Thank you.
So just to clarify then, so if we did Monday through Friday, let me take that back. Monday through Thursday, 11 to 1, right? And then, no, we're gonna take it back again, 'cause we want Saturday and Sunday to be different. We want Saturday and Sunday to be 10 o'clock in the morning, because you're potentially gonna serve brunch, so 10 to 12 a.m., correct?
So,
10, why 10 to 12?
yeah, not to 1. Currently, the operating hours on Saturday and Sunday are until 1 a.m.
Yes.
He's suggesting,
Now,
so that would be last call at 11:30.
so let's, again, Monday, here's Monday through,
Saturday.
through Friday, you've got 11 to 1 a.m. You've got Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1, and then you've got Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1, 10 a.m. to 12. Sorry to be confusing here.
Again, he's
Right,
cutting
because you
back
want to
what he's saying.
open a little earlier on the weekends, is what you're seem to be suggesting, correct?
That'd be for brunch.
Yeah.
That's why they're opening early. I
Right.
don't know if the Saturday hours closing at midnight.
No, I'm suggesting 1 o'clock on Saturday.
You are on
Yes,
Saturday.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I confused that, that's,
So Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1,
yeah,
and Sunday,
10 a.m. to 12 a.m., right?
With last call at 11:30.
Right.
how do you feel about that? We haven't honestly discussed that. Again, our intention was to have the same.
So I'd like to make a recommendation, since it sounds like you need to have a little further discussion about what your timing wants to be. And it does have to be in our motion as to what your hours of operation are. Since you're looking to open in August, and I know part of, you might be waiting to get this liquor license, I'd like to recommend that we suspend the hearing and let them come back in June with a little more defined what their hours are going to be. And then it should be very quick, because I think you've answered all our other questions. But that way you can have I mean, I understand that you came before us with the old hours from the old establishment, but because of what we've been dealing with here in town, we want to make sure that if you're going to be having certain hours, you understand what your business is going to be doing during those hours. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, because, and again, we're trying to assist in promoting a family orientation as well.
Understood. Could we possibly just take a moment and have the conversation? Because I don't, Mr.
Because it's a whole
Velasquez
different
indicated
business model than
they have
the current
flexibility. I'm not
business.
trying to be difficult, but if we could get it resolved.
Well,
at least address that
what we
tonight.
can do this, we can recess the hearing. If you want to step outside and have a conversation, we can go further into our agenda. And it's 8:30, you can come back and, how long do you think? Half hour, 15 minutes?
10, yeah.
Okay.
15 minutes.
Quarter,
Okay.
quarter of nine.
So 8:45, so go out in the hall, just, so do you understand what we're asking for, right? We want you to think about what is your model going to be? What are you going to be serving when? What are your 2 hours going to be? And then let us know that, and we can put that in our motion to approve or not.
Thank you for the
Yes?
accommodation.
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chair.
I get a motion
Thank
to
you.
suspend until
So moved.
8:45.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. So you can come back at 8:45, whatever we're doing, we'll stop, have a discussion, and then
Thank you very much.
you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a general question?
Sure.
Do we have, what is the liquor license situation in town now? Do we have a limited number, or they have this one
have-
because the previous occupant had one, or
So
what's the?
we have, as a town, we get a certain number of liquor licenses. We do have a few available, one being the corner pub because of that location that closed. We have Fusions, that's still pending. So,
And we have a few others that have not been granted, is that
well,
right?
we have,
We have some beer and wine licenses.
we have
that are
some
available.
beer and wine retail licenses. Susan, do
Oh,
we
so-
have any more
All
pouring
right, so this
licenses?
is, yeah.
We do have additional licenses. The one thing we have to keep in mind on this particular license is if a license has been issued to a premise in the last 12 months, the license that was there is the one that you have to reissue.
Right.
So if they run this license through any sort of system, the only reason why I'm pointing this out, if they run it through a system and it gets a hit for DOR, unpaid liquor vendors, anything like that, it kind of slows the ball down when it gets into the ABCC, so it could take a period of time. We experienced this with another establishment in town, and it took them almost a year to get their license.
Right, I remember that.
So, for them to be able to at least get this in and get it into process, I think
Right.
is semi-important, because they cannot apply for another license that we have. We do have
Right.
licenses in-house, but they're not able to apply.
Because they're applying for that location and there's a liquor license associated with
Correct,
it.
it's just a way of the state to make sure that they recoup any monies that might be outstanding at that establishment.
The only reason I was asking, so we have 2 pouring licenses left, basically, we think, and the rest
I
are
would
beer
have to
and
look
wine?
'em up. We have more than 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like, okay.
We have
Yeah.
Nello's too, right? Nello's is.
Right.
Oh, right.
That's right.
Yeah, but Nello's hasn't returned
No,
theirs,
they're
have they?
not- No, but they're not utilizing it, so
Right.
it is a license that we could reissue.
But it's associated with that location right now.
Correct, but there's
Okay.
also, from what I hear, an applicant that's gonna come in, and the
Potentially.
same thing, that one's gonna
Have
have
to
to go
work with
against
that one.
that establishment,
Yep.
because that's been.
So it's just interesting, if we had somebody in a totally new location and wanted a pouring license, then they might have an issue.
They would take one from our stock of licenses, they wouldn't take one that's necessarily on
Another piece of property.
on an establishment that was issued. So
Okay.
if I decided to open one up at my home address, say it was zoned that way, I couldn't apply for the license from the corner pub. I would get one that's from our regular list of licenses.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was asking, so we might or might not have some available.
So if
do,
you,
I
for our
just- I
June,
didn't bring the list.
Okay.
for the June 3rd meeting, could you bring the list as to what we have available?
Sure.
Okay.
Susan,
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, so you're saying that in order for them to not go through this, we would have to approve the license as issued with the same hours as issued?
No, no. You have total guidance. You're the licensing board. You make the decisions as to how you want the application. The only thing that you don't have discretion on is the license number that was assigned. We'll say it was a license number 123. you have to reissue license number 123 1
Okay,
West
but
Union.
not the associated hours with?
No,
Okay.
all of that is all up to your discretion on how you wanna move forward with that.
Okay,
Any restrictions, anything like that, is all the licensing board's decision.
Okay. Any other questions?
And anything that comes back from the DOR or anything like that, that's on them, that's not on the town. They're responsible for that.
Correct, it's
Correct.
not a clear license.
It's not a clear license, so they're gonna be held responsible.
Right, and what'll happen, as you probably remember, I think you were sitting on this board
I
when we
do.
had this situation before. What happened was they came back to the applicant and they said, okay, we got a hit on, say, state taxes that are outstanding. So do you wanna continue or do you wanna pay it? So they paid it, then they ran it a little bit more. Oh, they owe money to, unemployment, so then they paid that. So before they get in there, they were well over their heads in debt that did not belong to them.
Right.
But it was associated with
It
the
was
license.
associated to the license, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. We're gonna move on in our agenda, jumping back down to old new business. We have an approval of a farmer's market wine tasting vendors. Who is speaking to us on that?
Good evening. I'm Noel Powell. I'm the owner and winemaker of Aranep Cellars, located in Westford, Massachusetts.
I'm gonna ask you to speak a little closer to the microphone so that people at home can hear you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm Noel Powell, owner and winemaker of Aranep Cellars, located in Westford, Massachusetts, and seeking to be able to come to the farmers markets this summer to sell our wine.
Okay, and do you have the dates that you'll be attending?
It's June 13th through October 10th.
Oh, so you're gonna be there,
Well, yeah, on Zoll Cellars, we're gonna be alternating dates, so I believe he's scheduled to start the 13th, I'm scheduled to start the 20th, and then we are planning on alternating, but we wanted to make sure the license is covered if we needed to switch
Right.
days in there, that we'd be covered for that eventuality.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, Madam Chair, we did the approvals in the past for the entire market season.
Right.
Just to accommodate that.
Mm-hmm,
Switch off.
okay. Any other questions, Steve or Joe?
No.
Carl or Rob? So what happens here is they get to do tasting, but because it's a farmer's market, it has slightly different restrictions. And, yeah, okay. Susan, anything to add
And,
with this? No? Okay.
and just to note as well, they need to be tip certified.
Right.
I see that here, yeah.
Is in the
Yep.
Yeah,
packet.
we're doing both farm, but we're doing his, yeah. Okay, so we have two wineries that we're gonna do, but we're doing yours first.
Two different ones.
Okay, if I can get a motion to approve.
Which one?
Aranep Cellars LCC.
Yep. Joe, you wanna take it?
Sure. Madam Chair, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve Aranep Cellars LCC request for selling wine and wine tasting at the farmer's market from the dates between June 13, 2015 through October 10, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you are all set. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to seeing you at the farmer's market.
Look forward to seeing you there.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Now, if I can get a motion for our second vendor? Now, is the second vendor here? I don't think, we didn't invite them because we've done them before.
Yeah,
Right.
this is just-
Zoll Brothers.
it's the third season.
Yeah, okay. If I could get a motion then?
That would be you. I can't find that.
Oh, okay, so I move that the board approve a license for Zoll Wineries for the Ashland Farmers Market through the dates of June the 13th through October 10, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Great.
That's right.
Yep. Next item is discussion, dedication, and naming of the Ashland Animal Control Facility. I believe Donna Walsh is gonna come speak to us about this.
I have the, this was in the packet, it was a hard copy.
myself and
Hold on, go to the microphone first. There you go.
we're here tonight, myself and my two good friends here. We've spent a lot of hours with Cheryl over the last few weeks and long before that also. But now that she's passed away, we have her memorial service and the celebration of her life coming up. And I'd like to put her name on the kennel in some way. I just think it's very fitting. She did a lot. She did a lot for the town. And if you don't mind, for the residents, I'd like to just go through what I wrote so that
Please
they
do.
understand. When Cheryl and then myself started here in Ashland, we had a little shed behind the DPW with no heat and no running water. We had an old-fashioned water pump outside which only worked in the warm weather. It consisted of 5 dog runs and no place to keep cats. Cheryl had a vision to build a proper animal care facility, as well as how the direction in which animal control should proceed into the future. We were one of the first departments in the area to regionalize and have done so successfully. In the following years, she grew her ambition to make animal control officers much more than a dog officer. She was directly involved in the passing of the new laws which came into effect in 2013. The reward paid off, commenced in Governor Deval Patrick signing a new the animal control laws into effect from Massachusetts at Ashland's Animal Control Facility. She also had a vision on how animal control officers should be trained, and in doing so became a co-director of Animal Control Officers Association of Massachusetts Academy, and also the president of the association. It would only be fitting that we name that. Those are just a few of some of the accomplishments that she's done. And it would just be fitting if we name the facility in her memory, since she was instrumental in bringing it to reality. We are also planting a memorial garden in the front of the building. We would like to begin the celebration of her life, which will take place at the Fish and Game with a short ceremony at the facility. This will take place at 1 p.m. on June 28th, and all are welcome, anybody that would wish to be there. And I gave some examples of how we could, put her name on the facility. So, I guess we're looking for ideas on how to do that.
Okay, hold on. First of all, my condolences to you and to the community. Cheryl was very well respected here in Ashland.
Yes, she was.
And I thank you for bringing this forward to us.
Thank you.
And now you can go,
Yep,
Steve.
I just thought you should also, if you don't mind reading David's letter as well. I think it's very appropriate.
I didn't, Okay, this letter is from Dr. David Schwartz of Ashland Animal Care Center, and it's written that he has had the privilege of working with Animal Control Officer Cheryl Rudolph and her staff since her appointment 15 years ago. The people and animals of Ashland and Holliston have lost a great supporter and a tireless worker. Cheryl was the gold standard for the role of Animal Control Officer. I enthusiastically endorse the naming of the animal shelter in Ashland in Cheryl's memory. Respectfully, Dr. David Schwartz.
Okay. Questions, then discussion. So we have also our policy as to regards to our naming. I think this is certainly appropriate to name this facility after Cheryl. We can allow the town, if we so vote, we can allow the town manager to work and work with Donna to design something appropriate. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful idea to name it after. I was just wondering, in terms of process, is this something that, this is the first, the first application, so under the policy, do we allow time for any other applications or thoughts before we make a decision?
Oh, in regards to the naming of this
Yes,
particular facility?
before we take a vote, like just in terms of the process, I guess. And I guess I don't see other I mean, it sounds like your idea and a new idea, so I don't think there's probably any others coming forward, but I was just
In
wondering in
regards
terms
to
of.
naming the animal
Yes, yeah,
control.
and this specific, that's your proposal, right? So I'm just wondering in terms of process, do we, just wait and see if there's any others, or that's what the policy seems to be saying, but.
Well, with every policy, there's always exceptions to the rule. And I would suggest that this would be an exception to the rule, if the board would agree with that. If for me, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Donna, I know that was very difficult for you to say and do, so thank you very much. I know that St. Anthony has a new worker, her right-hand man now would be Cheryl. She was an animal lover right through and through. I've known Cheryl since she was a young teen, and she's come a long way, and she did a marvelous job for the community.
Yes, she did.
She really and surely did, and her love of animals was unbelievable, and it was showed through her work, and through her tireless efforts in getting things done. I happened to be there, and I know Steve was there when Governor Deval came to Ashland and signed that into law, and it was a great day, and you could see how proud she was,
Yes.
extremely proud, and very happy and satisfied that she was able to accomplish a lot of things that a lot of people tried to in a very short time. So,
Beautiful day.
Madam Chair, I think this is appropriate, and I understand, Rob, that, our policy says one thing, but sometimes there are exceptions to the rule.
Can I just,
ahead.
first of all, well said, Joe, appreciate your words. But if you look at our policy, it does state that the board will either initiate or take action or receive requests to name. And at that point, we would undertake outreach efforts for the purpose of obtaining information, input, suggestions, and advice from residents of Ashland to assist the board in the final selection of an appropriate name for the property. In this particular case here, I wouldn't see why we would not allow you and the folks closest to Cheryl to be that process. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I would say the same. To your point, Rob, yes, it does say that we may have a committee, but I think we have the committee, and I think it's just a matter of determining what would be the best appropriate name. But I think if we let you work with town manager to figure that out, and then have it, whatever we want to, what you think would be appropriate to have available for the June 28th.
June 28th, okay.
I would just like to reiterate my condolences, as Madam Chair did. I know that's been a difficult time for you, and so my condolences as well, and I agree with the other board members with regard to our approach to this.
Okay. If I can get a motion then?
I'd like to make a motion, Madam Chair, that we would leave it up to the committee to design and shape some sort of sign or plaque to acknowledge the Ashland Animal Control Building to be named after Cheryl Rudolph.
Working with town
And working with
management.
the town management
Yes.
to make the proper signage and/or plaque.
Thank you.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna.
Okay. Gentlemen, you can come back. A motion to unsuspend
So
the
moved.
hearing.
So moved.
I can get a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So,
Thank
what?
you
Oh, you're welcome. Like,
for your patience.
well,
Obviously, we weren't.
I understand you guys are, sort of new at this, but we want to work with you. We welcome new business. It sounds like you guys have a great idea, so we want to encourage that. So what did we come up with?
In that spirit, and obviously we weren't out too long.
That's
didn't
okay.
take us long. We would like to propose that the hours of operation would be Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., with last call, doors shut at 12:30, as discussed. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m., last call, again at 12:30, doors shut. And Sunday, 10 a.m. to midnight, with last call at 11:30, doors shut.
You're
That's what
shaking
I
your
had
head.
written down,
Yep.
perfect.
Perfect.
Took me, you don't want to see my
Okay,
notes.
so Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Correct.
Okay. And then Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m.,
Correct.
and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12 a.m., with last call being a half hour before each closing. Okay. Anything else that we need to ask about?
One other thing would be, and I think you spoke to your trainings, the amount of trainings that you're going through. And I would suggest that we consider making the trainings that your employees are required to do not be done online. If there are trainings that are done in a classroom and so on, in order to get certified properly.
For their tip
I've just heard-
certification?
Yeah, I've just heard a lot of, I think, concerns about online trainings. I think we've all done online trainings, and they're a little suspect, in my opinion. And so I would suggest that we make that part of the condition of the license, that your responsibility is to require your employees, anybody that's serving alcohol, to take their certification in a classroom setting.
Definitely, yeah. The school where we attend, I'm from Stoughton, Mass. The school that I went to is in Brockton. So people that are gonna come to work with us, it would be easy for me to take them to take the class in Brockton and have them ready with the tip certified.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, if I can
You
get a
got me
motion then
covered.
to approve? We want to do that?
Let me read,
Sure,
try to,
go ahead.
try to make heads or tails out of this. Okay. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the liquor license application to Jose Yanis, does business as, it's gonna be Jay's Bar and Grill, is that correct?
It's 3J's
Three
Pub Inc.
J's,
is your
okay.
Right, you have to
licensee.
use this.
3J's Pub Inc. at 1 West Union Street, Ashland, Mass., with the hours of operation to be Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., last call at 12:30. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m., last call 12:30. And Sunday, 10 a.m. to midnight, with last call at 11:30.
And do you want to make that
And-
subject to
and
proof of
The tip
certification?
Yeah,
certification in
and
person.
subject to tip certification of receiving the certification in hand,
In-person classes.
and in-person classes,
Okay.
not online.
Now, just to clarify before we
Wait,
vote.
wait, we got to take it and get a second.
Second.
Second, okay.
So-
Discussion.
All right, so just to clarify, all three, now, the manager of record, according to the application, is
Mr. Yanis.
Mr. Yanis. And he's got his tip certification.
Yes,
that you're-
with the understanding that it was issued with a typographical error in his
Understood.
name.
Right.
Understood,
Yep.
but,
Corrected.
okay, so I just want to clarify that, because that is our policy, is that when we vote a license, it is.
In the
it's
manager's.
hand.
Yep.
If it's, I'll send it to Mr. Roby tomorrow. I
Yep.
just saw them tonight.
That's fine.
Okay. Any other?
Thank you.
No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries 5-0. You are all set?
Hey,
Good luck,
welcome to
gentlemen.
Ashland.
Good
Welcome.
luck.
Good
We
luck.
welcome you to town, and we look forward to your opening.
Thank you very much.
Always
We
looking for
appreciate
another
it.
restaurant.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You're welcome. Moving on into the town managers' reports, annual town meeting recap.
So we successfully completed our annual town meeting in 2 evenings. At this point, we go through and actually start to work on implementation on several of the articles. Some are, creation of our sped stabilization account, the transfer of funds into that, the creation of the the creation of the capital stabilization fund and the transfer of funds into that, so we're working on that.
God bless
Bless
you.
you. Related to the solar articles, at the June 3rd meeting, we'll be bringing forward the tax agreements for the House Street landfill, the high school projects, the one high school project and the one middle school project, and available prior to town meeting, so we'll bring those forward for the Board of Selectmen's signature on those. And then spoke with Attorney Mead today. She's beginning work on the license agreement for the House Street landfill, as well as the PPA agreements for all three projects, since those come under the purview of the Board of Selectmen. So we're working on that. In addition to that, the next steps on the taking of land off of House Street for the sidewalks, the next step on that is for DPW to complete the appraisals on each of those properties, and then to schedule a public hearing before the board before those actual takings occur. So we're waiting for Mr. Menugian to complete the appraisal process, and then we'll be scheduling the public hearing. That requires a 30-day notice for that. Amoresco's already, back to the solar, already marching off on getting their interconnection application completed with Eversource. Once that's been completed, it will eventually come before the board, either to sign or authorize me to sign that application, as we are the host customer, if you will. And they have already set up a pre-meeting with DEP for that part of the process. I believe Michael's going to attend on behalf of the town as they begin work with the Department of Environmental Protection on that portion of the project, which would eventually result in the post-closure use permit being issued once all their requirements are satisfied. Did I leave anything out on solar that's going on right now? I think there's a lot of activity, obviously, with that. We did make our first attempt at consent articles. I think it was, once it was explained and all of that was very successful, and I appreciate everybody's patience, as well as, understanding on why those are done and the importance of those and how it can streamline some of those more general, routine articles that don't change very much from year to year. As far as the MWRA goes, I'll be having some conversation with Dave as we will come back to the board to establish a group to sit down and start to work on water policy around that, as well as we're working on courses of action related to funding sources to come back, and we'll come back to the board and make those type presentations. Obviously, those things will eventually come back to town meeting for the funding aspects of it at some appropriate time. So more to follow on that.
Okay.
So
Can
that,
I ask a
yes,
question?
sure.
Just so we don't get too far away from it. The consent article.
Yes.
There was a lot of talk about that on town meeting floor.
Sure.
And just for my own clarification, is this the first time that we've done that, or
Yes.
is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's why there was issue with it.
Yeah, just because it was new. I covered it, a little bit in, I think, one of my directions articles, as well as a town manager forums.
Mhm.
And obviously, we had put a text box in the warrant just to explain what a consent article is, why it's used, and which situations it is used. So obviously, the first time you do it, you get, I think, more questions, but I think appropriately so. And, moving forward, if those make sense, I think we would do them again.
Okay, thank you.
I think one thing we kind of got hung up on whether they could be discussed, or, is there any reason a motion can't be discussed at town meeting? There's, I know that was the moderator's call, but it seemed a little confusing.
Yeah, it is. Consent articles by themselves are not designed to prevent discussion, obviously. So I think if somebody had a issue with something, obviously, I think they could approach the microphone and discuss that with the moderator to address something like that if there was something
Sure.
that needed to, further clarification.
And can something be removed from the consent article if that?
I believe
is
the answer to that is
challenged?
yes.
Yes.
Challenged? Thank
So
you.
as with anything you try new, we'll, get together with Adam and review it and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work? What was the reaction we got from the community regarding the consent article? To Tony's point, I think it's something we do want to continue using, but maybe just make it clear as to how we're going to work with them on town meeting
Yes, I
floor.
think that's good, yep.
Thank you.
Okay, briefly, update on electric vehicles. Part of our establishment as a green community is to continue to investigate ideas and initiatives that we can use to enhance our green community status, reduce our emissions, air emissions, carbon footprint, et cetera. So we applied for a grant that Philip Williams put together, which allowed us to lease 3 fully electric Nissan Leafs. as well as the purchase of 2 electric charging stations. So the vehicles are here, they got their Ashland seals on the side. We have fully installed one of the charging stations at the municipal lot. That's available for both town and public use, and the second one is currently being installed on the side of Town Hall, between Town Hall and 91 Main Street, again, available for both town and public use. Interestingly, it also sort of fits in with our economic development. You know, as these vehicles become more and more popular, whether the vehicle itself or GPS systems can identify where these charging stations are located, since many of the vehicles today, I mean, you can maybe get 100 miles out of them, and they can go to where these charging stations are, maybe take an hour to charge a vehicle, and they can visit, you know, the library or stores or whatever in the areas,
Yep.
restaurants and so forth, and help drive some economic development activity. So they're very inexpensive to operate in terms of, you know, for a full charge, you know, probably, I think it's probably less than $5, I think. So definitely a move in the right direction. So right now, we're, one of them's going to DPW, and we're either keeping 2 here at Town Hall, or we'll have 1 at Town Hall and 1 for the school resource officer to use, so we're still determining that, so.
Now, with the charging stations,
Nice, yeah.
is that gonna be something where we're gonna be able to, you know, put a credit card in and pay for it, or is it just being paid for by?
No, we have it available for free public use at this time.
Okay.
It doesn't accept like credit cards or money or anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that something in the future we might wanna look at?
We can, I would definitely do it.
What?
I said if we could, I would go
Yeah.
for it.
I guess.
I mean, I know for our own vehicles, we you know, we wanna be able to use it, but in regards to, I mean, I don't know, maybe we could look at policy for what other communities, if they have them, what they're doing. Not that I wanna charge people more, but certainly if we can,
Yeah, a lot of businesses
generate-
have charging stations now, and they are credit card based.
so, if we could look into that and maybe see.
Yeah, so my question is, I've never been in an electric vehicle, so
very
how do I
quiet.
take a ride? How can I get a ride?
Just come on in, we have one out back, we'll
Yeah?
take you for a ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They're very unnerving when you're driving, when you stop.
Because they're so quiet.
Well, you think you're dead.
Keep on
Yeah.
pressing the button, why won't this start?
That's right. So thank you to Philip Williams, who did the grant, but also to our facilities folks who work with our, you know, Eric Heidemann with our electrician, as well as folks from DPW that laid the pad and helped to install the actual charging station. So, and Susan as well, running around trying to get them registered and working with the leasing company, with Nissan, to get our lease all squared away. So it was a team effort all the way around for getting those. Just a brief update on Route 126. We try to keep folks up to speed on what's going on with that project. So just starting in about January, the MPO, we're in the Boston MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, meets to discuss projects for the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Plan or Program, with Mass DOT. It's a 4-year program that schedules different projects. So a number of us went up there several weeks ago and testified before the MPO related to our 126 project. Yolanda came, myself, Michael, Dave Mnuchin. We also had representatives from Senator Spilker's office, as well as Representative Santacandro's, and they actually came the second time we went up there. And it went very well. We ended up in, so the TIP is 4 years, and they ended up adding actually a 5th year to the TIP to provide better visibility on programs. And it's always a shuffling game, trying to, you know, there's only so much money, and, you know, based on what a project's worth, you could be a $13 million project, but there's only $9 million available, so you get bumped out, and somebody with a $9 million project goes in. So we're actually in year 2020 right now, but we have a commitment from Mass DOT to continue to aggressively get our 25% design review completed, get our public hearing schedule, which we anticipate will be likely in August or early September. Once that is complete, that's their public hearing here in town. Once that's complete, they will continue on with moving towards a 75% design of that whole project. And then, once that's completed, then the other parts of the organization, like the right-of-way division and so forth, gets engaged. And essentially what we're trying to line up here is getting our project far enough along so that if projects are always falling off, they run into difficulties, whether it's permitting or some other issue, will fall off, and we want to be ready to have our project easily slide in to either federal fiscal year 18 or 19, should that room become available. So we've had great support from our project working group, from obviously the board, and Senator Spilka and Representative Santacandro's offices. So it's everybody gets up there and applies their issues in front of this board, and I think ours was very compelling, especially from a safety standpoint on Route 126. It's just not us anywhere in that 2-mile stretch really safe to do anything other than try to drive without serious risk of injury. So I feel very confident, and I think Yolanda would confirm that we're getting a lot of support and a lot of help from different folks in our legislative delegation. So
Yeah, they were, both Karen and Tom were very, Karen took time out of her budget discussion to come, and they were very surprised to see her when she came the second
And
time.
very
But it was
attentive.
very attentive when she was there, so. But I feel confident that, we'll be in the 2020, and if we can continue working and supporting it here in town, we could possibly get pulled in sooner.
That would be nice.
Great.
That would be really good.
Good work,
Yes, thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Thank you.
Town Manager, Assistant Town Manager.
Okay, so we just finished the GIC conversion, so Michael's just going to briefly cover that process. I want to thank the folks in the treasurer's office, especially Susan Huey and Kathy Arsenault. I mean, they literally had to process, hundreds of different action requests, not just from current employees, but retirees, so.
So, reminder for you guys, the GIC conversion is we're currently on
West Suburban Health.
West Suburban Health, and we're going to the GIC, which is a state health insurance program. Mike?
So, we had 571 enrollees, 188 retirees, 383 active employees. I think, as we're starting to get some of the numbers in terms of what the plans picked were, we're seeing that we're not going to exceed the appropriation that we budgeted for in FY16, and we very well might come in below. What we're still trying to figure out is, we have to process the waivers. We have the program where if you're an employee that has had insurance through the town for, I believe it's 2 years, and you decide to come off of that insurance, then you're eligible for a payment of $1,800 if you were on an individual plan, or $4,000 if you were on a family plan. So those waivers are being processed. We had a number of different employees decide to take advantage of that as well. That's actually a win-win for the town and the employee, because
And is that a one-time or is that annually?
annually.
Okay.
But the town saved on a family plan. Our contribution on family plan is almost $16,000, $16,000.
On our current plans,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, and it's still a savings compared to what the plans would be in the GIC.
Okay.
As Tony said, I can't reiterate enough how much work the treasurer's office, and especially Susan Huey and Kathy, did. They would be coming in on weekends, processing this stuff. So really kudos to them. But I think we'll, as we get more information coming in, we can tell you, give you a better idea of where we're landing in terms of a budget.
Okay.
But again, I think, we're comfortable in saying that we're not going to exceed the appropriation. So that's good news.
Okay.
So just briefly, update on the Rail Transit District project. I had Secretary Jay Ash, who's the Secretary of the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development here in town yesterday, to meet with the development team of Campanelli Thorndike, as well as the landowner. There was representatives from Senator Spilka's office and Representative Santacandro's office here. So there's been a purchase and sale agreement signed between Campanelli Thorndike and Magunko LLC, I believe it is, for Lot 1. They have come in and briefed the planning board last Thursday, an informational session to brief them on their design plans. It's a significantly better project than the JPI plan in 2008. It's smaller, but it's a better design. It sort of fits New England versus what was proposed before. They went before the Concom on Monday evening, and again, an informational session with them to understand the process that the different boards want to go through as far as the permitting and such goes. We anticipate that they'll file their application for site plan modification next week. So they're on a very aggressive schedule. Certainly, the $6 million MassWorks grant was the main reason I had Secretary Ash here yesterday to meet the team, but also to take him up and tour the actual site so he could really get eyes on the RTD itself. So I think he was impressed with what he saw, and took him all the way down to the MBTA station and saw that our train station does get significant use, and this development within a transit-oriented development type framework is one of those things that's highly encouraged these days, including the connections to downtown with trails, hiking trails, biking trails, connecting to downtown, as well as making provisions for connections with the Upper Charles Trail Committee group is working on, because part of that transits that property, so there's good support there as well. What you can anticipate moving forward, we're working very diligently, and I hope to be able to present to the board the development agreement between the town and the landowner at our June 3rd meeting. At least that's the hope and the schedule that we're trying to get on. If it doesn't happen then, we certainly would expect that it would happen on the 17th for review, questions, and eventual voting and signing of the development agreement with that piece of it. We'll likely also have an agreement to enter into with the development team as well, related to the project, so I'll be working with them on those aspects related to that, to again present something to the selectmen for review very shortly. So that's the update where we are right now. If anybody has any questions, either now, I can certainly answer those the best that I can, or I can get answers for them if there are any, but. So related to the grant, if I can go back, just related to the grant, so I mean, the grant was issued in December timeframe of 2013, so we've had the grant for a while, so it is a legacy left over from the Patrick administration, so we're hopeful and waiting for Secretary Ash to return with an answer after he had his meeting with us yesterday, so optimistically hopeful, and I filled Senator Spoker's office in on that meeting as well.
Okay, good.
Carl?
I have a quick question, Tony. What would be covered by that grant? And I know that you've probably all discussed this.
That's okay.
So the grant had 5 components to it. It's $6 million. The majority of the grant, $3.5 million, covers the complete reconstruction of the MBTA access road to complete street standards, which would be obviously sidewalks on both sides, bike lanes, et cetera, lighting, all that kind of thing.
Sewage?
So that's, yeah, and also utilities all along the MBTA road for water, sewer, and utilities. A second component of the grant is the upgrade of the West Union transmission line as part of that project as well, which runs essentially from where Dunkin' Donuts is across the street, pretty much cross-country to the Chestnut Street pump station. So that would be upgrading that entire line. And I'm not sure if it's going from a 12 to a 16-inch main, but it's a bigger pipe, basically. We also anticipate when that trench is open to look at potentially putting a forced main in there to support a future wastewater treatment facility for the town while we have that actually open. So we want to perhaps take advantage of that. So that's kind of built in as part of that overall piece of the project. The third component is to fund a portion of the Southborough Water Interconnection. And so the West Union, so you got $3.5 million for the road, for the MassWorks. You have a contribution of $800,000 towards the West Union transmission line. There's a contribution of $700,000 towards the Southborough Water Interconnection. There's also $800,000 for the grant to build the residential access road to the actual development. And then there's $200,000 towards walking and biking trails as well.
Okay, thank you.
So at some point, I can't discuss right now the components of the development agreement, the additional funding stuff right now, but that'll be coming to the board once we reach an agreement with the landowner.
And just a little follow-up, if there's not enough in each one of those components to cover the costs of what you're describing, does the remainder fall to the town?
No.
Okay.
But I can't cover the rest of it just yet, but as soon as I can, because we're in
Okay.
negotiations
Okay,
right
thank
now.
you.
So we can talk offline, though.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, just, is there any, currently under the current proposal, is there any commercial
Yes. So the RTD is an overall development project. So what had been permitted in 2008 was essentially Lot 1, designed as sort of being the anchor project, if you will. And so sometimes you'll hear Lot 1 and 2, 3 and 4. If you look at the covenant that was signed, they're really A, B, C, D, E, and F. So Lot E is really Area E is lots 1 and 2, but Lot D, which is the major portion that's right behind where Dunkin' Donuts is, that's an area that has multiple, in the zoning, RTD zoning bylaw, can support commercial, light industrial, assisted living, and residential in that particular zone. So we're obviously very much encouraging the commercial part of the project, because when you have a transit-oriented development type activity, you want folks that either travel that road or that live there to be able to walk to things like a grocery store, drugstore, some retail shops. And that's more up towards the front part, towards the MBTA station. So lots 1 and 2, though, are strictly, by the zoning bylaw, and the covenant are strictly residential, but the commercial is in Area D. So I can show you, I have a map in the office if you'd like to see how that's broken out.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Moving on to board reports. This is your opportunity to tell us things that you've done or things that you're going to be doing related to your time as a Board of Selectmen member. You get to start, Carl, because you're at the end.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, well, I have two things, and I'll try to make them brief.
Okay.
Some of you may know, and maybe some of you don't, that my grandfather was on the Board of Selectmen for close to 20 years in the 20s and 30s. And so I'm following it tentatively in his footsteps.
You looking to sit here for 20 or 30 years? Or?
Absolutely not. But the second part of this is that he actually took sick and died in Town Hall when he was 53. That's the part that I don't want to follow in.
Oh, wow.
It's too late to be doing that at 53. But he was presiding over a function. This used to be the Great Room.
Right.
At that time, and he was presiding over a function when he took sick in 1939. And so when I got the results last night, I contacted my 3 sisters, and this was my maternal grandfather. Obviously, I never met, none of us did, and they all said Pa would be proud. So I hope that I can. I know that I used to ask my mother, why would your father want to be the selectman for 20 years? And she said he loved every day of it. So hopefully I do love every day of it. That's the first thing. The second thing is we dedicated the baseball field on Saturday to Sergeant Joe Seaman, who was a student here in Ashland, was a few years older than me. Grew up here in Ashland, to school here in Ashland, and was a scholar athlete at the high school. Just an all-around nice guy. And some of you who have been to the town hall, to the town clerk's office, have seen the panel in front of the town clerk's office. That same panel is now installed at the field, along with a monument dedicating the field. And I would encourage all of you who haven't seen it to see it. It's a sad story, but it's a wonderful story, and it's an Ashland story, and it's taken us 45 years to bring this to fruition. He was killed in Vietnam in 1970, so we had our ceremony on Saturday. It was well attended. It was very poignant. I thought many of his classmates and his teammates from the class of 1965, as well as the school committee, superintendent, members of the Board of Selectmen, the town manager. It was well attended, wonderful stories, and it was just a little part of Ashland that will now be a little part of Ashland in perpetuity, and we really appreciated that.
Well, and congratulations to you for organizing it and doing it. I think it's a great testament.
Right at the baseball field. You know where the
At the
scoreboard
Ashland
is
High
in the
School.
baseball field? It's right underneath there.
Can't miss it.
Yeah, you can't. Good, okay. Rob?
Well, I've been, I was gonna talk a little bit about the campaign, but we already took care of that.
Yep.
So, and there's been a lot of events.
history.
I know,
Yeah, it's
history,
history. It's
forget
done.
about it.
Moving on.
Well, speaking of history, one thing I did find time to do was the historical commission did the historical walking tour. I think Yolanda was there. That was
Yep.
that was lovely. It was really, you know, I'd recommend if people haven't done that, I presume they're going to do it next year or something like it. But it's really kind of a great way to learn about downtown and the history of some of these homes. And you know, it's been a shame that some of the stuff that we've lost and there still may lose. So, but it is, you know, it was a you know, a great. A very nice event to do.
Just,
And I
just to follow up on that, there was an interesting story about the Hopkinton fire apparatus when it
Oh,
became
yeah.
Ashland's fire apparatus, and then Hopkinton took it back. So there's some really long-standing
Oh, yeah.
history
So there you
about
go.
about the fire stuff. Anyway,
That's why the regional thing
that's
didn't
why
work.
you know it goes back a long way. Anyway,
but that's
Steve.
Very good. Well, first, I want to welcome Carl and Rob to the board, and look forward to a lot of good collaboration as we move forward. So welcome to both of you.
All right, thank you.
I really don't have anything in terms of reporting. I do want to comment, since we're going to be reorganizing at our next meeting. I just wanted to comment, Madam Chair, and thank you for what I think has been great leadership over the past couple of years as chair. I know you've put a ton of work into this. You go to a lot of meetings and, you know, a lot of things that people don't necessarily see. But, you know, you've put in the time, and, you know, I think it's certainly appreciated by this body. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for that. And what's interesting is I've had a number of people ask me, you know, why did I want to run again? And Carl, it goes back to, you know, your story about your grandfather, that he loved every day of it. And I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being on the Board of Selectmen. I enjoy being able to serve Ashland and the community, and I was very heartfelt when I was reelected last night. So thank you for your kind words.
You're welcome.
Joe?
He said everything I was going to say. He does it all the time. No, I would just like to reiterate what Steve said. Thank you, Madam Chair, for your leadership over the last several years. It's been very helpful and very rewarding for the town as a whole. And to Rob and Carl, I look forward to working with you up until my term is over, and next year you'll be probably running again. I haven't made a determination as to what I'm going to do, but whatever I do, it's going to be 100% with this board. So, because you love it, and
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with egos. This is the fact that, you know, this is where I was born and raised, and I want to see this community thrive. We may have different ways of saying it or promoting it, but all in all, we want our families and the people who live here to benefit from everything. And that's basically it. But at the same token, what we just did tonight for Cheryl was an outstanding thing. What you did for Mr. Seaman, and I didn't have the opportunity to know Joey. I was a little younger than some of the others that knew Joe, but I didn't know Sandy. Sandy and I were classmates, so I did know her, and I knew the family. Mr. Seaman was our driver's ed instructor. He taught us all how to drive. That's probably, never mind. That's another story.
We won't go there.
We won't go there. But, no, really, they were a wonderful family, and thank you for getting all that done. Spoke with some of the kids from the class of '65, and they were thrilled that they were able to get that and be part of that whole program. So
They'd
thank
probably
you.
be thrilled that you're calling them the kids, too.
Yeah.
Well,
The kids.
I still play with these guys on Tuesday nights, so I have to make sure I call them kids, because I know there's a few of them that really aren't kids, but anyway.
We're all kids at heart if we want to
Yeah,
be.
kids at heart, that's it, exactly. And I'm very happy to see that Mr. Cunis is gonna be on it as well.
Yeah, and I checked with Mr. Adams, and that'll be happening in the fall.
In the fall.
Yep.
And
Madam Chair, if I just
No, go
might,
ahead.
also, speaking of Bill Cunis, actually, after Joe Seaman's dedication, I attended just shortly Dan Cunis's Eagle Scout ceremony. Tony and I went over, and the ceremony had been completed. Tony had an opportunity to give Dan his coin, certainly.
Coin thing.
But I got a chance to talk to Merle for a little bit, and I think, you know, the family is looking forward to that next dedication very much, so.
Good.
Yeah, I spoke with Pete, who was Bill's brother, and they are extremely honored. So kudos to the Cunis family. They lived in town for a number of years. Dad was postmaster in town, the whole 9 yards and stuff. So, yeah, it's It comes back to one thing, family.
Excellent.
It comes right back to family, so.
But it's also what Ashland is about, right?
Yeah,
Volunteering and
it's
supporting each
volunteering.
other and recognizing people for doing,
That's it exactly.
Great
Some
things
people may
for the
not
town.
get that, but at the same token, that's what it's all about, so. That's all I have to say, Madam Chair, and I look forward to, rolling up the sleeve and start working.
okay.
Well said.
So I have a couple of things. First, I also did the historical walk on Saturday. It was very enjoyable. Thank you to the historical committee for organizing it. I know it takes a little time to do that. I actually went and attended the Massachusetts Selectmen's Association meeting today. I had sent someone an email saying, okay, my election is Tuesday, and they're like, register, and if you don't come, that's okay. But what was interesting was I got information about the Community Compact Cabinet, which is a new cabinet that Charlie Baker has established. And I'm passed the information to Tony, and we'll bring it forward at another meeting. It's a way for communities to sign this compact. Karen Polito will be running it, to possibly get grant money and find ways to improve best practices for certain things. And I've already identified one thing that we could possibly, if we decide to sign this compact, potentially get money to help do our website, and possibly some other things. So we'll make sure you get this information. But my feeling is any way we can bring tax dollars back to Ashland without having to be more taxes out of our residents' pockets, the better. So I attended that. I will be attending the Metro West Regional Collaborative meeting tomorrow morning. And at our next meeting, I hope to be reappointed to that because I do enjoy attending that. And then just a reminder, because we will not be meeting before this, Monday is Memorial Day. So we have our Memorial Day parade on Monday. Starts at Wildwood Cemetery. There's a parade down. There's different presentations. So we as a selectmen are invited to participate. Let Susan know if you'd like to walk. It's a nice event. And then also on Thursday, May 28th, the library is having their annual meeting and dedication of a new structure, a new sculpture that has been placed outside of the library. It is already standing there. It got put in today, and they're going to be putting some garden around it and some greens to make it look better. But so that is Thursday night, May 28th. You are all invited to come and participate in that celebration of having art in our open space, which will be a nice thing. And then, as was said by Kara, on this Saturday, there'll be a food drive from 10 to 2 at Shaw's. The last thing is I've reached out to most of the committees via their chairs to get people to sign up to be at the town tent at the farmer's market. There's many committees I have not heard from. If you don't know if your committee has reached out to me, please have your chair, or if you're the new chair, reach out to me, because we'd love to fill the tent with at least 2 committees every Saturday from June 13th till October 10th. Okay.
There's one quick thing. I need
Okay.
something.
There's always something.
There's always one thing.
Okay, one last thing,
One
Joe.
last thing. The Charter Review Committee, our first meeting is gonna be June 1st.
Yay!
Yes, we finally get everybody together. But we're meeting at Nick's Pizza because we couldn't find any other place to meet.
Oh, wow.
So we're meeting at Nick's Pizza.
Not a
Okay.
bad
I
spot.
don't think we have that on our meeting posting thing.
Well, I have other location.
Yes, you do as
well,
another
when you hit
location.
other locations, it kicks you right back to start all over again. So I have to go see Tara.
We have to work on that then.
So we have to work in
Starting a
interesting.
trend
We
now.
could meet there, yeah.
So that's
Nick's,
good. I
meet
like
at
it.
Nick's.
Okay. If there is nothing else, I move pursuant to not to make the motion.
Sorry, yeah, never mind.
That's right.
Now.
I know.
I move pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30, it's been a long couple of days. General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, to consider the purchase and value of real property, discussion of which may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the board. The Board of Selectmen will not reconvene into regular session at the conclusion of our executive session. If I can have a second.
Second.
This requires a roll call vote, so you have to say your name and then aye. Carl, we'll start with you.
Hickinson, aye.
Robert Chair, aye.
Mitchell, aye.
Joe Magnani, aye.
Greaves, aye. Thank you very much. That ends our regular session. We will see you back on June 3rd, if not at any of the other events we've mentioned. Have a great night. Thank you.